Chapter 972. Outside the celestial ascension pool, Jian Guan fought against 4 immortals alone. Chu Kuangren, who was only a celestial seed, was able to fight against the immortals and even suppress them to a certain extent. The celestial seeds were baffled by the situation. The difference between a celestial seed and an immortal was like the difference between heaven and earth. They had never heard of anyone who could overcome this barrier and fight against an immortal. Even in the ancient immortal realm, there were not many who could do that. Chu Kuangren is an anomaly. If he doesn't die, he'll definitely become the strongest existence in the Qinglan immortal realm in the future. It's almost certain that he'll reach the 7 crowns level. The celestial seeds were shocked and amazed. The celestial seed kings were even more dejected. They could see that there was an unimaginable gap between them and Chu Kuangren. It was difficult for them to cross. Boom, 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 one after another, immortal techniques were unleashed from Chu Kuangren's hands towards the Flaming Sun Immortal in an attempt to suppress him. At that moment, thousands of evil spirits formed from resentment rushed towards Flaming Sun Immortal, wanting to tear him into pieces. Flaming Sun Immortal's expression was extremely gloomy as divine flames surrounded his body, burning the evil spirits into ashes. However, as long as the resentment was not exhausted, the evil spirits would not stop. D****. How does this guy have such a strange immortal technique? Coupled with the 11 Dharma testimony seals, the power of this immortal technique has far exceeded the limits of what the celestial seeds can unleash. As an immortal, Flaming Sun Immortal was now suppressed by an immortal seed. This made him feel ashamed and humiliated. If word got out, he would become a laughing stock among the immortals. The first immortal to be suppressed by an immortal seed? If he were to bear such a title, he would probably spend the rest of his life in endless mockery. He would never allow that to happen. Chu Kuangren, I'll kill you today. Immortal Yen Ri bellowed furiously. The immortal elemental energy in his body was pushed to the limit. The vast immortal elemental energy transformed into boundless scarlet flames. Majestic waves of fire incinerated the grievous energy within a radius of 10,000 li. Chu Kuangren cast his ethereal illusion body and dodged the flames. He smirked. You're angry. Chu Kuangren, die. Immortal Flaming Sun ignored his opponent's mockery. He was so angry that his eyes were bloodshot. Divine fire soared into the sky, burning more than half the sky. The land within a radius of millions of kilometers dried up and cracked because of the extreme heat. Countless immortal seeds were drenched in sweat as they activated their cultivation to resist. Chu Kuangren looked calmly at the furious Flaming Sun Immortal. With the dermic seal above his head, he was surrounded by origin energy that shone brightly. In the endless sea of fire, it formed its own space. Extreme fire of 8 desolation, dominate the world. Immortal Yen Ri let out a long roar. The divine flames around him erupted and gathered in his palm, turning into an enormous scarlet fireball. It was like a great sun, the fiery light dazzling, illuminating the entire immortal ancient battlefield. Upon seeing that, Chu Kuangren's gaze froze. Even the weakest half-crippled immortal was not to be underestimated. With his current strength, it would not be easy for him to block it. In the distance, Sword Crown, who was being held back by the 4 immortals, looked anxious. Damn it! He shouted in a low voice, and a green sword light shot out from his body. The green lotus immortal sword was in his hand. The 1,000 lotus sword intent was activated to its limit. Thousands of sword chi swept across all directions, destroying the evil spirits and asuras. Upon seeing that, the 4 immortals did not dare to be careless. They quickly activated their immortal primordial energy to defend themselves and used various immortal techniques. Sword Crown, you may be strong, but you have yet to fully recover from your injuries. It won't be easy for you to defeat us so quickly. That's right. Chu Kuangren will die today. It's already amazing that he can do this, but he's still below the immortal realm. Against immortal Flaming Sun, there's nothing he can do. The 4 immortals said coldly, trying to distract Sword Crown's mind. On the other side, Immortal Flaming Sun unleashed his full strength, holding up a great sun with one hand. Under the illumination of the flames, Chu Kuangren looked exceptionally small. Then, the great sun of flames smashed down on him. Wherever the great sun passed, the void was distorted. It was as if the immortal realm space had collapsed. The immortal seeds were extremely shocked. This was the true strength of an immortal. It's over. Chu Kuangren is really done for. He definitely won't be able to block this attack. No one thought that any immortal seed could block this immortal's full-force attack. Even Lan Yu could not help but feel worried. Little Fox was as anxious as a cat on a hot tin roof. Gu Wuqing's eyes were bloodshot. His benefactor was about to be killed by an immortal here, yet he could not do anything about it. This made him extremely unwilling. Sigh, what a pity. Gu Lufang could not help but sigh. He truly felt sorry for Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren's talent and strength were not something an ordinary immortal seed could compare to. If he did not die, he would definitely achieve great things in the future. If he doesn't die, he might become the destined one in the prophecy, Gu Lufang murmured, feeling extremely regretful. Just when everyone thought that Chu Kuangren would not be able to block Immortal Flaming Sun's attack, a burst of bloody light suddenly erupted from Chu Kuangren's body. The blood-colored light shot into the sky, and it actually contained Buddhist light and resentment. Two completely different types of energy shook the void in all directions. A bloody Buddha statue with 3 heads and 6 arms appeared behind Chu Kuangren. Then, it turned into a gigantic resentful Buddha avatar. Not far away, sacred monk Ju Fa of the Golden Hill Temple was shocked when he saw the Buddha statue. That's the 3 heads and 6 arms resentful Buddha. The immortal weapon, the 3 heads and 6 arms resentful Buddha. The sinister Buddha sect's immortal weapon of the past. Now, this ancient immortal weapon was about to shine brilliantly in Chu Kuangren's hands. Boundless blood-colored Buddhist light surged as the gigantic Buddha of resentment avatar put its palms together, and the Buddhist light blasted towards the gigantic fireball. The two unparalleled forces collided together. The surrounding void collapsed. The entire immortal ancient battlefield was shaken. The shockwave of energy swept across, and some of the immortal seeds that were closer could not withstand the force and exploded into a bloody mist. When the dust settled, Chu Kuangren was seen standing proudly with the 3 heads and 6 arms resentful Buddha sitting in the void behind him. That's a heavenly immortal weapon. Immortal Flaming Sun's expression changed. Immortals were categorized into different levels. Naturally, there were immortal techniques and immortal weapons. Normal immortal weapons, earthly immortal weapons, heavenly immortal weapons. Heavenly immortal weapons were considered rare treasures in the entire Green Orchid immortal realm. Even the Divine Flame sect did not have one. However, Chu Kuangren had taken out a heavenly immortal weapon. Why does this person have so many trump cards? Flaming Sun Immortal was furious. Even if you have an immortal weapon, your cultivation level is still below the immortal realm. How much of this weapon's power can you unleash? You may be able to block my attack, but I don't believe you can use this immortal weapon to block me 10 times or even 100 times. Flaming Sun Immortal roared and activated his divine flame again. However, Chu Kuangren merely smiled. Who told you that I only have one immortal weapon on me? He raised his hand and took out an ancient green mirror. The ancient mirror soared into the sky and shone towards Immortal Flaming Sunday. A ray of green light shot out, accompanied by the cry of a green luan. Flaming Sun Immortal was hit by the green light, and half of his body was pulverized. Then, the resentful Buddha behind Chu Kuangren attacked. It put its palms together and unleashed a bloody Buddhist light, killing Flaming Sun Immortal. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. Before the crowd could react, Flaming Sun Immortal was already dead. Chu Kuangren had defied the heavens and killed an immortal. Chapter 973. The Flaming Sun Immortal had fallen. That scene caused the entire battlefield to fall into a dead silence. Behind Chu Kuangren was the resentful Buddha, whose blood-colored Buddhist light shone upon the world. Beside him was the ancient green phoenix mirror. As the mirror rotated, It seemed as if it could shatter mountains and rivers and shatter stars. Another immortal weapon? And this immortal weapon looks much more powerful than the three-headed, six-armed resentful Buddha. Where did this person get so many immortal weapons, and each one is more powerful than the last? Where did he get all of them? The crowd was dumbfounded. Immortal weapons were usually owned by immortals, and some of the immortal seeds possessed them as well. They were either people with great fortune or powerful backgrounds. However, even if they had immortal weapons, they were mostly ordinary immortal weapons. Yet, Chu Kuangren casually took out a heavenly immortal weapon. That ancient mirror could instantly kill the flaming sun immortal, and the fact that it could allow an immortal seed to unleash such power meant that it was even more terrifying than a heavenly immortal weapon. Is that the green phoenix mirror? Among the crowd, a demonic beast could not help but be shocked when he saw the ancient mirror beside Chu Kuangren. Why would the Honorable Demon Court's painstaking search for the green phoenix mirror appear in the hands of a human? What was going on? Chu Kuangren did not know that his possession of the green phoenix mirror was seen by others. Even if he knew, he would not care. The green phoenix mirror was left behind by Qing Feng. For some reason, he did not ask for it when he left. However, since the immortal weapon was so powerful, he was more than happy to keep it in his hands as a trump card. That was why he killed an immortal the moment he attacked. What a terrifying immortal weapon. This item is at least a true immortal weapon. There are true immortal weapons in the Green Orchid Immortal realm? The other immortals who did not participate in the battle against Chu Kuangren could not help but feel shocked when they saw the Flaming Sun Immortal being killed. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren held the two immortal weapons in his hands as he looked into the void and said, "I wonder which other immortal wishes to kill me?" As a celestial seed, he dared to openly challenge an immortal. This scene made countless people exclaim in surprise. Chu Kuangren was one of a kind among the current generation of immortal seeds. At this point, the other immortals did not dare to act rashly. Not far away, the four immortals who were surrounding Sword Crown were shocked by Chu Kuangren's combat strength. They were slightly distracted, which gave Sword Crown an opportunity to break through Prince Yuan's immortal domain-level technique and rush out. Jingguan came to Chu Kuangren's side. "Master, are you all right? A half-crippled immortal can't hurt me." Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Jingguan looked at Chu Kuangren. Like the others, he could not help but be shocked. Even if he was a half-crippled immortal, he was still an immortal. "Everyone, do any of you still want to fight?" Jingguan looked at the rest of the immortals. Sword light flowed around the green lotus immortal sword in his hand, and a violent sword will swept in all directions, causing the immortals to be fearful. "Retreat." Nan Ku's expression was somewhat ugly. It was already the limit for the four immortals to restrain Sword Crown. Now that the Flaming Sun Immortal was dead and Sword Crown was no longer restricted, none of the immortals were willing to face the resentful Buddha and the Green Phoenix Mirror head-on if they wanted to kill Chu Kuangren. The immortals' death trap collapsed just like that. It ended with Chu Kuangren killing the Flaming Sun Immortal. If no immortals are willing to fight, then we shall leave." Chu Kuangren kept the Green Phoenix Mirror. The resentful Buddha said indifferently. It was not that he did not want to deal with the rest of the immortals who surrounded him. It was just that the strength of these immortals far surpassed the one-armed Flaming Sun Immortal. Even with the Green Phoenix Mirror, he did not have the confidence to defeat them. Not to mention that Jingguan had not fully recovered his strength. After that, Chu Kuangren left with his people. Looking at his departing figure, the crowd had mixed feelings. Today, they finally understood what it meant by "there was always someone better than you." Even the king of celestial seeds did not stand at the top of the celestial seeds. There was still Chu Kuangren who could defy the heavens and kill the immortals. After leaving the celestial Ascension pond, Chu Kuangren did not stay in the celestial ancient battlefield. Instead, he went to Heaven Luo City to rest for a few days. Heaven Luo City. Inside a restaurant. Chu Kuangren was sitting at the side, drinking wine. The surrounding customers looked at him with fear in their eyes. He had clearly offended the celestial capital and killed the Heaven Luo City Lord, yet he still dared to openly drink in Heaven Luo City. In this world, not many people had Chu Kuangren's guts. However, they had to admit that he had the strength and ability to do so. After all, among the current generation of celestial seeds in the Qinglan immortal realm, Chu Kuangren was definitely the only one who could go against the heavens and kill an immortal. Congratulations, host. You have obtained a God-tier prize, the 7-string zither heart. Chu Kuangren, who was drawing the lottery, was stunned. The 7-string zither heart? He had obtained another God-tier prize. Although he had the lucky halo, the chances of obtaining a God-tier prize in a short period of time were still very small. He had obtained the transcendent lotus seed a few days ago, and he thought that he would not get any more rewards in the near future. He did not expect to obtain another 7-string zither heart. What was the 7-string zither heart? Chu Kuangren opened his inventory and looked at the introduction. There were all kinds of physiques in this world, but there were also all kinds of innate abilities. For example, the green Luan's eye of green Luan, the moonlight foxes ignore seals. The 7-string zither heart was also a kind of innate ability. It was related to the musical Tao. Cultivators with this kind of talent were blessed by the heavens in the way of the zither. They could quickly learn all kinds of zither songs and could easily become a zither grandmaster without much cultivation. Even becoming a zither immortal was a sure thing. It was the dream of all musical artists in the world. Although I don't specialize in musical Tao, having this kind of innate ability is better than not having it at all. Chu Kuangren murmured and then extracted the innate ability. He was already a musical Tao grandmaster, and now with the addition of the 7-string zither heart, he felt that his understanding of musical Tao had increased to another level. A flash of realization flashed across his eyes. Then he slowly reached out his hand and fiddled with the void for a bit. At that moment, in the entire Heaven Luo city, the guqin in the hands of all the musical artists began to play automatically. Guqin music resounded throughout the city, shocking everyone. A musical artist looked at the guqin in front of him that was playing automatically and gulped. His face was full of shock. This is proving one's Tao with the guqin. Someone has proven his Tao with the guqin and has become a zither immortal. Other than the zither crown, the Azure Orchid Immortal Realm has another zither immortal. At that moment, the heavens and earth resonated. With Heaven Luo City as the center, a strong and mysterious zither Tao fluctuation spread out. Hundreds of millions of miles away. In a mountain villa located by a lake, tens of thousands of guqin resonated, and waves of graceful guqin music flowed. In the mountain villa, countless musical artists looked at the guqin in their hands with a dull face, unable to believe what they saw in front of them. Ching! At that moment, the sound of guqin music rang out from the depths of the mountain villa. The guqin music spread out, and wherever the guqin music went, it gradually calmed down. It's the Manor Lord. I can't believe that in this Azure Orchid Immortal Realm, besides the Manor Lord, someone else has become a zither immortal. In the depths of the mountain villa, in a loft, a woman in a long white dress looked at the guqin in front of her and smiled. Someone has become a zither immortal after me. Heh, I'm not alone anymore. Just as the woman was rejoicing, a dusty guqin beside her suddenly made a sound and let out a guqin music. That scene made the woman's expression change drastically, and her beautiful eyes widened. The 9 firmament ring is playing. Chapter 974. Inside Heaven Luo City. Chu Kuangren put down his hands, and the guqin music in Heaven Luo City gradually stopped. All of this was because he had played in the void for a while, controlling thousands of zither and attaining the musical Tao origin. Chu Kuangren could now combine his emperor's essence with the musical Tao origin. With his 7-string zither heart and his own talent, it would not take long for him to become a musical immortal. However, he did not do so. Musical Tao, it's not my Tao after all. Chu Kuangren shook his head and smiled. In the restaurant, countless diners were discussing the sudden sound of the zither just now. Everyone felt that it was unimaginable. A musical immortal appeared in Heaven Luo City? That's unbelievable. I wonder which musical master managed to attain Tao. Apart from Qingguan, there's another musical immortal in this world. At this moment, Chu Kuangren, who was the center of everyone's discussion, only smiled. He looked into the distance and murmured, "When I attained Tao earlier, there was an inexplicable resonance. That seems like a divine zither? Interesting. Let's go take a look then." Chu Kuangren decided on his next move. Jingguan, Lan Yu, and Little Fox came out of the room and came before Chu Kuangren. Little Fox said excitedly, Boss, did you see that just now? Someone in Heaven Luo City has become an immortal." Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. "Yes, I saw it. I wonder who it is. How could he be so powerful?" The little fox continued to blabber on. Beside him, Jingguan stared at Chu Kuangren with a bewildered look in his eyes. He could sense a surge of origin fluctuations from Chu Kuangren's body that only an immortal would have. He had sensed that same fluctuation from Qin Guan's body before. When he thought about the phenomenon just now, he suddenly had a bold guess. He looked at Chu Kuangren and said, "Master, did you trigger that phenomenon just now? Have you become an immortal?" Little Fox and Lan Yu were stunned when they heard this. Chu Kuangren had become an immortal? That fluctuation just now was indeed caused by me, but I have yet to become an immortal. Musical Tao is not the Tao I want to walk. Chu Kuangren said calmly. Hiss. Little Fox sucked in a breath of cold air. "Boss, you mean to say that you can become an immortal but you don't want to, right?" Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. The time has not come yet. The little fox and Sword Crown were stunned. This was the first time they had seen such a person. He could have become an immortal, but he did not, just because the time was not right. That was an immortal. Countless cultivators spent their entire lives cultivating to become immortals. However, why was Chu Kuangren not moved at all? Was he still a cultivator? "What is young master's Tao?" Jian Guan asked curiously. "I am my Tao," Chu Kuangren said indifferently. "The path of self-improvement and invincibility." He himself was the Tao. This was his latest realization, but Jingguan was a little confused. He was the Tao? What kind of Tao was this? Unheard of. Jianguan shook his head and asked no more. If he continued asking, it would touch upon the very foundation of a cultivator. "Come on, it's time to leave," Chu Kuangren said. Then they left Heaven Luo City. On the way, Chu Kuangren had almost finished studying Lan Yu's Radiant Combat Immortal Physique and mastered the Radiant Combat Origin Force. In addition to the Guqin Dao Origin Force, he had gained 2 more Origin Forces. However, that was not his biggest gain. Through studying the Radiant Combat Immortal Physique, he had grasped some of the rules of how a Taoist physique evolved into an immortal physique, and his understanding of the Book of Physiques had improved greatly. The Book of Physiques had given Chu Kuangren 2 abilities. The first was to analyze physiques and use other people's physiques for his own use. The second was to use his own physiques perfectly. However, through his own understanding, Chu Kuangren had gradually grasped the third function of the Book of Physiques, which was to upgrade one's physique. However, this kind of upgrade could not be done overnight. It needed to be done slowly. Chu Kuangren first chose the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart as a test subject to see if he could upgrade it to an immortal physique. As for the immortal physique, it was already very mysterious. To upgrade it, Chu Kuangren's understanding of the Book of Physiques was not enough. "Master, where are we going?" Jingguan asked along the way. He did not know why, but he felt that the path Chu Kuangren was taking was somewhat familiar. Some time ago, when I was using the Guqin Dao, I felt something resonating with me in that direction. I want to go and take a look. Chu Kuangren looked into the distance and said. Jingguan also looked in that direction thoughtfully. That direction, isn't that the 9 Firmaments Huan Pei Manor? The 9 Firmaments Huan Pei Manor? That's where Guqin Guan lives. Chu Kuangren said in surprise. Yes, I heard that there's an ancient immortal Guqin in the 9 Firmaments Huan Pei Manor. It's called the 9 Firmaments Huan Pei, and it's also the origin of the manor's name. However, no one can play that Guqin, not even Guqin Guan himself. Could it be that the thing that resonated with you is this thing, Master? Jingguan said in surprise. Chu Kuangren's interest was piqued. A Guqin that even the Zither deity can't play? That's interesting. It was indeed a immortal Guqin that resonated with him. If he was not mistaken, it was most likely the Nine Firmaments Huanpei. As the group gradually approached the Nine Firmaments Huanpei Manor, they gradually heard a lot of news about this place. Have you guys heard? Recently, Guqin Guan is holding a Nine Firmaments banquet to find a new owner for the legendary Nine Firmaments Huanpei. What? Guqin Guan is willing to give this Guqin away? Many years ago, this Nine Firmaments banquet was held once, but no one could play that immortal Guqin. Over time, this immortal Guqin has been kept in the Nine Firmaments Huanpei Manor. TSK, I don't know why, but this Guqin Guan is holding a Nine Firmaments banquet again. This time, it's attracted many people, even those who don't practice Guqin Dao. After all, it's an immortal weapon. All kinds of discussions entered Chu Kuangren's ears. This made him look forward to this trip to the Nine Firmaments Huanpei Manor even more. Speaking of which, I still have a token from the Guqin Guan's daughter, Xianxia. A jade pendant appeared in Chu Kuangren's hand. Alright, since we're already here, let's pay her a visit. Not long after, he, Lan Yu, and a few others arrived at the Nine Firmaments Huanpei Manor. The manor was huge, and there were many pavilions. The manor was also divided into two areas. One was used to receive guests, and the other was the core area where the manor lord and his disciples resided. Dear guests, I'm really sorry, but the guest rooms in this manor are fully occupied. Please look for another place. At the entrance of the Nine Firmaments Huanpei Manor, a disciple was apologizing to the few young celestial seeds. What? We came all the way here, and yet we don't even have a place to stay? Is this how the Nine Firmaments Huanpei Manor treats its guests? I'm sorry. The disciple in the manor smiled apologetically. Due to the Nine Firmaments banquet, too many cultivators had come, and the guest rooms in the manor were fully occupied. Let's go. The few young celestial seeds said unhappily and wanted to leave. However, Chu Kuangren and the others happened to pass by them. Hello, we're here to visit your manor, Chu Kuangren said. Chapter 975. Hello, we're here to visit your manor. Chu Kuangren's words were heard by the few young celestial seeds who were about to leave. They all turned to look at him, but since his face was covered by a layer of spiritual light, they could not see his face clearly. However, that did not stop them from enjoying the show. If we don't stand a chance, then it's even worse for him. Brother, let's just find an inn. The few of them did not seem to have any ill intentions as they said that. The manor disciple smiled helplessly and said, My apologies, brother, but our manor is fully booked. Chu Kuangren took out the jade pendant that Xianxia gave him and said, Brother, we're Lady Xue's friends. The manor disciple was stunned when he saw the jade pendant. He took it and studied it carefully, and his expression changed slightly. This jade pendant is indeed Lady Xue's personal jade pendant. Please follow me in, the manor disciple said. The few young celestial seeds were stunned. I didn't expect them to be friends of the Guqin Crown's daughter. Tisk, it's good to have a background. The few celestial seeds shook their heads helplessly and left. Meanwhile, in the Nine Firmament Ring Manor, in a garden, Xianxia was having a gathering with a few young men. However, she did not seem to be interested, as if she was daydreaming. Beside her, a few young men were chatting in high spirits, pointing at the world. In my opinion, other than the 12 celestial seed rulers, Brother Yuanshu and Brother Qinfeng are on par with each other. That's right. Brother Yuanshu is a prince of the great Yuan God dynasty, and Brother Qinfeng is the disciple of the Guqin Crown. Below the celestial seed rulers, the two of them are the most respected among the celestial seed rulers. In fact, both of them even have the demeanor of a ruler. Among these people, two stood out the most. Of these two, one had a noble aura, and it was obvious that he was a person of high status. The other had a graceful and elegant demeanor. The surrounding celestial seeds were all flattering them. You flatter me, you flatter me. That's right. There's always someone better than you out there. We need to improve ourselves even more. Don't be spoiled and complacent. Although they said that, the two of them raised their eyebrows. It was obvious that they were enjoying the flattery. You two are too humble. So humble. We should learn from the two of you. Xue Qinxin yawned and casually said, no matter how powerful you two are, how would you compare to Chu Kuangren? As soon as he said that, everyone's faces stiffened. Chu Kuangren, of course, they had heard of this name that had recently risen in fame. Even they couldn't help but be amazed by it. Consecutively killing immortal seed kings? Defying the heavens and slaying immortals? Could an immortal seed really do that? Perhaps Chu Kuangren's abilities are just a rumor. It doesn't really matter. One of the immortal seeds let out a hollow laugh and said, oh, false rumors. Could it be that everyone in the world is an idiot? Was the immortal slaying incident all fake? Xue Qinxin said lightly. Hearing this, the crowd was embarrassed. If Xue Qinxin was not the daughter of the Guqin crown, they would have driven her away. Why, junior sister Xue, you seem to admire Chu Kuangren so much. Do you know him? Qin Feng said with a smile, but his brows furrowed slightly. Although he looked like a gentleman to others, he was not as magnanimous as he looked on the surface. He was the disciple of the Guqin crown, and he had been coveting the daughter of the Guqin crown, Xue Qinxin, for a long time. Other than her looks, it was more because of her identity as the daughter of the Guqin crown. If he were to marry her, it was almost certain that he would inherit the 9 firmament ring ornament manor in the future. No, I was just saying, Xue Qinxin said. After all, the last time she ran away from home, her mother was already very unhappy about it. If she knew that she almost lost her life outside, she would probably not be able to step out of the manor ever again. Therefore, after she returned, she did not mention a word about the incident, and the people in the manor naturally did not know that she knew Chu Kuangren. Miss Qinxin, you must know that the people of this world are ignorant, and some things cannot be trusted. My brother is one of the 12 celestial seed rulers, so I am very familiar with the abilities of a celestial seed ruler. They are almost invincible under the immortal realm, let alone killing celestial kings. Yuan Su said calmly. Just like Qin Feng, he had feelings for Xue Qinxin. If he could become Dao companions with Xue Qinxin, with the help of the Zither crown, even if he couldn't ascend to the throne in the future, his status in the godly dynasty would be greatly improved, and he wouldn't become a sacrifice in the battle for the throne. Even if he did, he must have used some underhanded methods. Yuan Su thought for a while and then added. Hearing this, Xue Qinxin immediately felt uncomfortable. No matter what, he is not someone you can compare to. Miss Qinxin, Yuan Su's face darkened slightly, as if he was about to lose his temper, but he had to be careful about her identity. At that moment, a disciple in the mountain manor found Xue Qinxin with a jade pendant in his hand. Junior sister Xue, your friend is here. Friend? Xue Qinxin could not help but be stunned. Then, when she saw the jade pendant in the disciple's hand, her eyes lit up, and she said excitedly, where is he now? I've arranged for them to wait in the inner hall. Xue Qinxin immediately left Yuan Su, Qin Feng, and the others behind. The few of them looked at each other when they saw that. What kind of friend is so important to you, junior sister? Qin Feng frowned and said, it's a man. The disciple answered honestly. Qin Feng and Yuan Su's eyes flashed coldly when they heard that. Oh, now that you mention it, I'm a little interested. I want to see what kind of friend he is. Let's go and have a look together. Although Qin Feng and Yuan Su were rivals in love, they would not allow others to fight for Xue Qinxin with them. When 2 tigers were fighting, how could they allow others to interfere? 9 Firmament Huan Pei Manor, Inner Hall. Chu Kuangren was sipping his tea when a beautiful figure arrived. It was Xue Qinxin. Brother Chu, you're here. Greetings, Miss Xue. Chu Kuangren smiled. I heard that the 9 Firmament Huan Pei Manor is holding a 9 Heavens banquet, so I came here to watch. I remembered Miss Xue's invitation, so I decided to pay you a visit. I apologize for not informing you beforehand. Brother Chu, you're too kind. Xue Qinxin looked at Chu Kuangren with excitement in her eyes. Ever since he saved her last time, his figure had been lingering in her mind for some reason, and she couldn't get it out of her head. Now that Chu Kuangren had appeared at the 9 Firmament Huan Pei Manor, she was extremely excited. She felt like she had a lot to say to him, but she did not know where to start, so she hesitated. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Miss Xue, may I know where Senior Gu Qingguan is now? I have a friend here who would like to meet her. The friend he was referring to was naturally Gu Qingguan. My honorable teacher is currently in closed-door meditation. She'll only come out when the 9 Heavens banquet begins. Even if she's not in closed-door meditation, it's difficult for disciples like us to meet her, let alone others. At that moment, a voice was heard. Qin Feng, Yuan Su, and a few other immortal seeds walked in. The person who spoke was Qin Feng, and his meaning was clear. Not everyone could see the zither crown just because they wanted to. Chapter 976. You must be my junior sister's friend. My name is Qin Feng. Before my honorable teacher comes out of his closed-door meditation, I'm in charge of everything in the village. Qin Feng smiled faintly. He looked at Chu Kuangren and continued, May I know how you met my junior sister? This person was hostile towards him. Chu Kuangren noticed Qin Feng's strange behavior and smirked. Before he could say anything, Xue Qinxin, who was beside him, could not help but say, Senior brother, I don't think I need to tell you about Brother Chu. This is between me and Brother Chu. If she told Qin Feng that she was in danger, it would be the same as telling her mother about it. If that happened, she would definitely be reprimanded. Junior sister, you're still young and inexperienced. Humans can be sinister, so you have to be careful. I'm doing this for your own good, Qin Feng said. His words were just short of calling Chu Kuangren a bad person. Xue Qinxin was furious. Senior brother, what do you mean? I'm not a child anymore, you don't have to worry about me. Miss Qinxin, you should listen to your senior brother. Humans can be sinister, and this person is so secretive that he doesn't even want to show his face. There must be something fishy going on. Yuan Su sneered. Then, his figure flashed as he tried to grab the spiritual aura on Chu Kuangren's face. How dare you! Before Yuan Su could get close, Lan Yu, who was behind Chu Kuangren, had already attacked with a punch. Now that Lan Yu had obtained the inheritance of the winged human immortal, her cultivation level had already reached the level of a heavenly master. Coupled with her radiant combat immortal physique, she was no weaker than a celestial seed ruler. Yuan Su was only a celestial seed ruler. When the fist and palm collided, the void trembled and Yuan Su was forced back a few dozen feet. The surging palm chi also dispersed the spiritual aura on Lan Yu's face, revealing a cold, beautiful face. Everyone was stunned when they saw it. Xue Qinxin's eyes were filled with amazement, but she was also a little jealous. So Brother Chu has such a beautiful companion by his side. Yuan Su, who was sent flying by the punch, looked at Lan Yu in bewilderment. Although he was stunned by her beauty, he was even more shocked by her strength. After all, he was a celestial seed giant. Moreover, he was definitely at the very top among celestial seed giants. It wouldn't be wrong to say that he was only second to celestial seed kings. Despite that, Lan Yu still managed to push him back with a single move. Immortal seed giant? Could it be a king of immortal seeds? Realizing that the other party's strength was not to be underestimated, Yuan Su did not dare to offend him. He stood where he was and stopped attacking. On the other hand, Qin Feng was also shocked as he looked at Chu Kuangren solemnly. I still don't know your name, sir. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Is it a trend for you guys to attack first before asking for the other person's name? The mockery in his words was very obvious. As he spoke, the light on his face dissipated and a handsome face appeared, causing everyone to be dazed. He looked at Xue Qinxin and said, Lady Xue, I don't have much of a reputation, so I've been covering my face with spirit light. I forgot to remove the spirit light when I came to see you. I'm sorry. Xue Qinxin quickly shook her head. It's all right. In the crowd, one of the celestial seeds stared at Chu Kuangren as his pupils gradually trembled. She said, He's Chu Kuangren. Someone recognized Chu Kuangren. In an instant, the crowd was in an uproar. After all, Chu Kuangren's reputation in the immortal realm was like the sun in the sky. No one could compare to him. To most cultivators and even the celestial seeds, a person like Chu Kuangren was like an unreachable god. Yet now, this god had appeared in front of them. Chu Kuangren, it's you. Yuan Su was also extremely shocked. Although he was belittling Chu Kuangren earlier, a person's reputation was like a tree's shadow. Chu Kuangren's high reputation was enough to prove that his strength was extraordinary. Yuan Su actually wanted to attack such a person just now? Oh God! Did he have a death wish just now? That's me. Do you have any doubts, sir? Chu Kuangren glanced at Yuan Su. Just one glance was enough to make Yuan Su shiver as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. Horrifying. Yuan Su's body trembled, and he could not help but feel his legs turn into jelly. He then collapsed onto the ground with cold sweat on his forehead. He was so scared that he went limp. That scene shocked the other celestial seeds. F***ck me. That was just too horrifying. Just one glance was enough to scare a celestial seed overlord into such a state. They were on two completely different levels. Gulp. Qin Feng could not help but gulp as he said in shock. So it's Brother Chu. My apologies. He did not dare to show any hostility anymore. The person in front of him was a heaven-defying and immortal-slaying lord. He had offended the sacred city, the divine flame church, the Golden Hill Temple, and even the Wutong Mountain, a divine beast tribe. His actions were so crazy that it was unbelievable. Although the Nine Firmament Huan Manor had Guqin Guan as their leader, they were not as powerful as the few forces above them in terms of resources. In other words, if he dared to say anything that he should not, the other party might just kill him if he was unhappy. He had already offended a bunch of immortal-grade orthodoxies, so what if he offended the Nine Firmament Huan Manor? At that thought, he could not help but feel his legs turn to jelly. Just like Yuan Su, he almost fell to the ground. Brother Chu, let's ignore them. Since you've just arrived at the Nine Firmament Huan Manor, let me show you around. Xianxia said. Chu Kuangren nodded. Then I'll have to trouble you. After Chu Kuangren and the others left, Qin Feng, Yuan Su, and the others were still stunned on the spot for a long time. I can't believe it's someone like him. Yeah, I can't believe the heaven-defying and immortal-slaying Chu Kuangren would appear at the Nine Firmament Huan Manor. Do you guys think he's here to participate in the Nine Firmament Banquet too? If that's the case, then this Nine Firmament Banquet is going to be interesting. TSK, no wonder Lady Xue was so excited. It turns out that her friend is someone like Chu Kuangren. It's not that rare for her to fall in love with someone like him. Even I want to ride on someone like him. The few celestial seeds discussed among themselves. Meanwhile, Yuan Su, who was paralyzed on the ground, had already stood up. His face was a little gloomy. As a celestial seed leader of the great primordial god dynasty, how could he be so scared? However, when he thought of Chu Kuangren's gaze just now, he felt a chill down his spine. That person was too terrifying. I'm afraid even Big Brother is no match for this person. Rumor has it that this person has even killed celestial seed kings. I guess it's true. Yuan Su thought helplessly. If it were someone else, he might have thought of fighting. However, against Chu Kuangren, he did not even dare to think about it. Qin Feng, we've lost. Yuan Su took a deep breath and said, it was not worth it to go against Chu Kuangren just for Xianxia. No, I haven't lost yet. As long as I'm recognized by the celestial zither during the Nine Firmament Banquet, my honorable teacher will definitely betroth junior sister to me. This Nine Firmament Huan Manor will still be mine. Qin Feng's eyes were filled with determination. Chapter 977. Under Xianxia's arrangement, Chu Kuangren temporarily stayed in the Nine Firmament Ring Ornament Manor. With Xianxia's status as the Guqin Crown's daughter, it was a piece of cake for her to arrange a few more guest rooms for them. Jiao Shao Huan Pei Manor, in the guest room. Chu Kuangren sat cross-legged as he tried to derive his exquisite 9 orifices sword heart. He wanted to upgrade his Taoist physique to the immortal physique level. And this process was almost over. Buzz. Chu Kuangren's body suddenly emitted an incomparably mysterious wave that spread in all directions. Beside him, the Kuan Wu sword was the first to sense this fluctuation. It couldn't help but tremble slightly and let out a crisp sword cry. Outside the house, Jingguan also fiercely opened his eyes. The green lotus immortal sword in his body trembled and had an impulse to fly out of his body. This feeling, is it the sword Dao immortal physique? Someone has awakened an immortal body related to sword Dao. Who is it? This direction is. Sword Crown sensed the source of the fluctuation of the immortal body, and his expression suddenly became a little strange. This young master? He realized that he could not see through Chu Kuangren anymore. Previously, he had used the zither to prove his Dao. Now, there was a sword Dao immortal physique? What was going on? When I'm with the young master, there are always surprises. Jian Guan shook his head and smiled. In the outside world, the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart's upgrade to an immortal body emitted a mysterious wave that enveloped the entire 9 heavens Huan Pei Manor. Inside the mountain village, the sword cultivators who had come to attend the feast of the 9th heaven sensed something. Their faces fell, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. Someone awakened the sword Dao immortal physique. What kind of immortal physique is this? The mystic sword physique? Supreme sword bone? Or the indestructible sword immortal body? But these fluctuations don't seem like it. Within the mountain manor, the swords within every sword cultivator's body flew out uncontrollably towards Chu Kuangren's direction. After a while, in the sky above Chu Kuangren's room, countless long swords hovered in the air. Sword chi from the heavens and earth converged, as if they were welcoming the honorable 10,000 swords. This scene shocked countless sword cultivators. Not only Jiushao Huan Pei Manor. Instead, with Jiushao Huan Pei Manor as the center, all the swords within billions of miles sensed it and let out sword cries. It was as if they were paying respect to the birth of the King of Swords. The mighty figures of the Qinglan immortal world were also shocked by this strange phenomenon. This aura, a sword Dao immortal physique, has been born. Moreover, it's not an ordinary immortal physique. I'm afraid it's a high-level sword Dao immortal physique. 5th grade immortal physique, common, profound, king, sovereign. To be able to cause such a phenomenon, it must be a king-grade immortal physique. In the entire history of the Qinglan immortal world, there have only been a few king-grade immortal physiques. That direction is the Jiushao Huan Pei Manor. Strange, isn't that where a group of zither players stay? The mighty figures of the Qinglan immortal world were amazed. Among them, some tried to deduce the identity of the person who awakened the king-grade immortal physique. But no matter how these people tried to deduce it, they couldn't find anything. Some people refused to believe it and forcefully tried to deduce it. But in the end, they all suffered a backlash. Cannot be divined. Taboo. In one of the pavilions, a white-bearded old man looked in the direction of Jiushao Huan Pei Manor with a pale face. How can there be such an anomaly? The past, the future, and even the present are all nothingness. Even the destined one in the prophecy doesn't have such a fate. Who is this person who awakened the immortal physique? Reincarnation of a mighty figure? Cosmic taboo? Innate deity? Countless thoughts flashed through the white-bearded old man's mind. In the end, he knew that this person was the biggest taboo in this world. Meanwhile, in Jiushao Huan Pei Manor, Chu Kuangren, who had upgraded the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart to an immortal physique, smiled in satisfaction. He had also sensed the swords that flew in due to the fluctuations of the immortal physique. How eye-catching! Chu Kuangren curled his lips. He waved his sleeves. In an instant, the long swords flew out one after another. The sword cultivators who had been watching hurriedly rushed up and grabbed their swords one by one. Then, they looked at the house where Chu Kuangren was in shock. What kind of people are inside? The person who awakened the immortal physique must be in there. But who is this person? Is there such a person in Jiushao Huan Pei Manor? Some cultivators could not hold back their curiosity. In a flash, they flew towards the house, wanting to find out what was going on. However, before he could get close, a surge of majestic emperor's chi swept out like a raging wave and blasted him away. Back off! A cold voice rang out. Suddenly, a huge domineering aura pressed down on everyone's chests, making it hard for them to breathe. Not daring to delay, everyone quickly left. Meanwhile, in the distance, a young man in a golden robe looked at where Chu Kuangren was with a strange look in his golden eyes. I can't believe someone among the humans has awakened the Sword Dao immortal physique. What a surprise! It's not just the immortal physique. This person's strength is extraordinary as well. Even if he's not an immortal, he's at least a top-notch half-immortal. Beside the young man, a golden-haired old man said, "A top-notch half-immortal? Heh, there's nothing to fear." The young man shook his head. "No matter what, we must get our hands on that Jiu Shao Huan Pei. No matter what tricks this Guqin crown has up its sleeves, this will never change." Inside the room, Chu Kuangren took some time to adapt to the new abilities of the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart. This immortal physique could increase the power of his sword techniques, and it could also help him understand the Sword Dao origin energy. It was somewhat useful to him. However, it was just a little. Chu Kuangren's current strength could no longer be greatly improved by just 1 or 2 immortal physiques. The Book of Physiques allows one to master many types of physiques, but too many physiques will only make things messy. Looks like I'll have to think of a way to solve this problem. Chu Kuangren murmured. Analyzing physiques, mastering them, and upgrading them. Can I combine all of them together? Combine thousands of physiques and transform them into one. The more Chu Kuangren thought about it, the more he felt that this was the next direction for his research on the Book of Physiques. However, he only had one idea for now. He had not found a breakthrough yet, so this matter could not be rushed. I'll first upgrade the rest of the physiques to immortal physiques. Once they're upgraded, they'll help me master more origin energy. Chu Kuangren thought to himself. He set his goal on the chaotic physique. This was the #1 physique among the firmament star's 3,000 physiques, and it was also his next goal to upgrade to an immortal physique. If there were no accidents, it would not be long before he could master the chaotic origin energy. Just as Chu Kuangren was upgrading his chaotic physique, the 9 Heavens banquet began as scheduled. Countless musicians gathered in the hall. Other than the musicians, there were also many powerful cultivators. They did not cultivate musical Dao, but they were still attracted by the Jiu Shao Huan Pei. One could see how tempting this immortal weapon was. Not to mention, the Jiu Shao Huan Pei was not an ordinary immortal weapon. Guqin Crown once said that the Jiu Shao Huan Pei was very likely to be a heavenly immortal weapon. In the Green Orchid immortal realm, earthly immortal weapons were rare, let alone heavenly immortal weapons. This was something that even immortals would be extremely tempted by. Chapter 978. The 9 Firmament Huan Pei is famous, but I've never had the chance to see it. Today, I finally have the chance to see it. Not bad. I wonder what this legendary celestial Guqin looks like. I'm really looking forward to it. On an empty training ground in the 9 Firmament Huan Pei Manor, musicians and cultivators gathered to witness the legendary celestial weapon. The 9 Firmament Huan Pei shall be mine. At that moment, an indifferent voice was heard. A middle-aged man in a white robe walked over with a Guqin on his back. His aura flowed with rich origin energy. Although he was not an immortal, he was not far from it. This person was already a top-notch half-immortal on the path of immortal ascension. The crowd gasped when they saw him. It's him, musician Tianyu. Rumor has it that this person has survived the 9 calamities, the fire calamity. His strength is second only to an immortal. Other than the Guqin crown, this person is also one of the best in Guqin Dao. He really came to this 9 Firmament banquet. The crowd looked at the middle-aged man in white in surprise. At that moment, a celestial light flowed not far away, accompanied by a shocking sword intent. A man in a green robe slowly walked over. Some people's eyes narrowed when they saw this person. It's him, one of the Green Orchid dual swords, Dugu Yu of the Spirit Emperor Mountain, one of the 12 Celestial Seed Kings. I can't believe even a Celestial Seed King would show up. The Green Orchid dual swords were the 2 most outstanding Sword Dao Celestial Seeds among the younger generation of the Green Orchid Immortal Realm. Dugu Yu of the Spirit Emperor Mountain and Yi Feichen of the Dragonsong Sword sect were both among the 12 celestial seed kings. Dugu Yu swept his gaze across the crowd and said, "A few days ago, someone here awakened the Sword Dao's celestial physique. I wonder who it was?" Hearing this, everyone came to a sudden realization. So it was because of the Sword Dao's celestial physique. Dugu Yu was a sword cultivator, so it made sense that he would be attracted here. However, Chu Kuangren had been living in seclusion for the past few days, so no one knew that he had awakened the Sword Dao's celestial physique. After asking a series of questions to no avail, Dugu Yu retreated to the side and did not say anything else. Apart from searching for the Sword Dao immortal body, he also wanted to see this so-called immortal Zither Nine Heavens ring pendant. The heavenly moon Zither master and Dugu Yu showed up one after another, adding to the excitement of the Feast of the Nine Firmaments. Then, other famous Zither masters and cultivators arrived one after another. It's the prince of the great Yuan God dynasty, Yuan Su. He's one of the top immortal seeds. It's Fairy Qingyue. She's here too. She and Qin Feng, the disciple of the Zither crown, are known as the dragons and phoenixes of the younger generation. There's also Shang Chanwan. She's also Qin Guan's disciple. It's said that her Tao of the Zither is unconventional, and she's known as the demonic Zither. Qin Guan doesn't like her, and she spends most of her time outside. Now she's back. In a loft not far away, Chu Kuangren could not help but yawn as he watched the young immortal seeds and musical Taoists appear one after another. When is this Jiao Shao Huanpei coming out? He came here for Jiao Shao Huanpei. As for the others, he didn't care at all. Mother will come out of seclusion today. At that time, fellow Chu will be able to see Jiao Shao Huanpei. But fellow Chu, do you also know how to play the zither? Xue Qingxin asked curiously. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. I know a thing or two. Upon hearing his words, Sword Crown and Little Fox were shocked. One could not help but roll her eyes, while the other's mouth twitched. Know a thing or two? You've already proven your Tao with the zither, yet you only know a thing or two. Xue Qingxin did not think too much about it. She really thought that Chu Kuangren only knew a thing or two. After all, who would have thought that a Sword Dao immortal physique and a celestial seed with exceptional sword techniques could also prove his Dao with the zither? That's impossible, right? Roar! Just as Chu Kuangren was waiting for the Jiao Shao Huanpei to appear, a dragon's roar suddenly came from the sky. The sea of clouds rumbled as a golden dragon's silhouette soared through the clouds. Its terrifying domineering aura shocked everyone present. Chu Kuangren could not help but be attracted. Dragon Tribe. The golden divine dragon then transformed into a handsome man in a golden robe, attracting everyone's attention. The Dragon Tribe of the Divine Dragon Island is here too. F***ck me, even a divine beast is here? The true dragon has 5 attributes. This dragon's entire body is golden, so it must be made of metal. TSKSK, I've never heard of anyone on the Dragon Island who's an expert in musical Tao. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. They stared at the golden divine dragon in shock. I'm Jin E of the Dragon Island, and I'm here to claim the Jiao Shao Huanpei. Jin said. The crowd frowned. From what he said, it seemed like he was determined to get the Jiao Shao Huanpei. If they fought with him, would it mean that they would become enemies with the Dragon Island? At that thought, most of the people had already given up. The Dragon Island was definitely the most powerful force in the Green Orchid Immortal realm, and it originated from the immortal ancient era. Compared to them, even immortal orthodoxies like the Divine Flame Church and Celestial Capital were slightly inferior. Going against them without a powerful background was simply asking for death. The Jiao Shao Huanpei belongs to the most capable. If the true dragon is recognized by the Jiao Shao Huanpei, it will naturally belong to you. A cold voice was heard. Then, a light purple guqin that was emanating an immortal glow descended from the sky and landed in front of the crowd. Its majestic aura swept across the area, causing many of the guqin artists and cultivators to be pushed back a few meters. A silhouette dashed out from the depths of the manor and arrived before the guqin. The newcomer was wearing a long white dress, simple and elegant. Even without any makeup, she was already as beautiful as a fairy, stunning everyone. This person was Qin Guan. The Guqin before her was the reason why everyone was here. It was rumored that no one could play the ancient divine Guqin. Jiuxiao Huanpei. This is the Jiuxiao Huanpei? It sure lives up to its name. What a dazzling divine Guqin. Everyone looked at the Jiuxiao Huanpei with heated gazes. Jin Yi's eyes were even brighter. With the Wutong as the face and the purple robe as the base, it really is the legendary divine Guqin, Jiuxiao Huanpei. Long Zi, you have a good eye. However, to play this Guqin, it depends on your ability. Qin Guan said softly. With a wave of her sleeve, a stone table appeared and the Jiuxiao Huanpei was placed on the stone table. Then lines of seals were spread out in the void, intersecting with each other like the strings of a Guqin. Everyone, the Jiuxiao Huanpei is here. The Nine Heavens banquet has begun, but no one is allowed to touch this divine Guqin. Those who wish to play the Jiuxiao Huanpei will have to pass through my seals first, Qin Guan said before retreating to the side. Not far away, Xue Qinxin walked up. Mother, you're finally out. Qin Guan smiled and nodded. Then she looked at Chu Kuangren and the others who were walking behind her, and her eyes narrowed. Especially when she saw Qin Guan, she took a deep breath and said, Li Juexin, you're finally back. Ha, old friend, long time no see. Jian Guan smiled faintly. Qin Guan then looked at Chu Kuangren, and her eyes lit up. If I'm not mistaken, this handsome young man here is Chu Kuangren. Greetings, Qin Guan. Chu Kuangren bowed. Qin Guan, you really followed him? Yes. Qin Guan nodded. Qin Guan looked at Chu Kuangren carefully. To have Qin Guan as your follower, you must have something special about you. I've been in closed-door meditation for the past few days, so I didn't have the chance to entertain you well. Qin Guan, you're too kind. We're very grateful for Lady Xue's hospitality for the past few days. Chu Kuangren smiled. The few of them exchanged some pleasantries. Then, they set their sights on the Nine Heavens banquet. Chapter 979. Jiuxiao Banquet. Due to the restrictions set up by the Zither Crown, many Zither masters and cultivators were isolated and unable to get close. Only a few had the ability to break the restrictions and tried to play Jiuxiao Huanpei. Among them, Tian Yu's movements were the fastest. In a flash, the origin of Zither surged around him and rushed into the restrictions. The restrictions couldn't stop him at all. Soon he was in front of Jiuxiao Huanpei. This Zither is mine. He was overjoyed and reached for the Zither. His fingers plucked the strings. But the next second his expression changed. The Zither didn't move and didn't make a sound. I don't believe it. How can there be a Zither that doesn't play? I must not have used enough strength. Tian Yu's expression darkened. He channeled his origin energy into Jiuxiao Huanpei in an attempt to play it. But it was useless. No matter how much origin energy he channeled, Jiuxiao Huanpei still didn't move. How can this be? I am a top-half immortal and my origin energy is second only to the Zither immortal. How can there be a Zither in this world that I can't play? This is impossible. Tian Yu Zither Master said with an uncertain expression. Just then, a shocking sword intent exploded and tore open the restrictions. Dugu Yu, the king of holy seeds from Spirit King Mountain, arrived before Jiuxiao Huanpei. He didn't know much about Zither, but he wanted to try and see if he could play Jiuxiao Huanpei. If he succeeded, he would have made a fortune. He stepped forward expectantly and plucked the strings. But it was useless. Jiuxiao Huanpei still didn't move. I knew it. Dugu shook his head and sighed. He ignored it and stepped aside. The rest of the famous Zither masters broke through the restriction and came before Jiuxiao Huanpei, but none of them could play the celestial Zither. This Zither is different. Normal methods can't play it, but it might work if I use my own understanding of the Zither. Qin Feng said. He placed his hand on Jiuxiao Huanpei and began to feel the mysterious power of the Zither. Everyone else's eyes lit up when they saw this. Not bad, let's try with our understanding of the Zither. Maybe it really works. Everyone activated their own Guqin Wei source power, which contained their comprehension of the Guqin Wei, in an attempt to activate Jiao Shao Huan Pei. However, no matter what they did, there was no effect at all. Jiao Shao Huan Pei was not moved at all. Not far away. Qin Guan couldn't help but shake his head. If it's so easy to play Jiao Shao Huan Pei, then it's too easy. She scanned the crowd with anticipation, but after a while, she looked away in disappointment. Xue Qinxin asked curiously, "Mother, what's wrong?" Not long ago, someone in the Qinglan immortal world became a zither immortal. That person's zither Dao caused Jiao Shao Huan Pei to resonate with him. This is also one of the reasons why I'm holding this banquet. I hope to attract that zither immortal here. That person might be the owner of Jiao Shao Huan Pei. Unfortunately, that person isn't here. Qin Guan shook his head and said. Upon hearing that, the little fox and sword crown could not help but look at Chu Kuangren. Others may not know, but how could they not know? The zither immortal who resonated with Jiao Shao Huan Pei was standing in front of them. However, Chu Kuangren did not make any moves, so they did not say anything. Sword Crown glanced at Qin Guan and found it funny. Oh my good friend. No matter how hard you think, you'll never know that the zither immortal you speak of is right in front of you. He did not say it out loud. He wanted to see what kind of expression Qin Guan would have when he found out about this. At the Nine Heavens banquet, one by one, the zither masters and cultivators tried to play Jiao Shao Huan Pei, but none of them succeeded. At that moment, a dragon roar was heard. Jin Yi from the godly dragon island came before Jiao Shao Huan Pei and reached out to grab the strings. His origin energy surged violently, trying to play it by force. However, he was sent flying by a huge backlash. This divine zither really lives up to its name. However, this is the only way it's valuable. This zither is good enough as a betrothal gift. Genie laughed. The crowd was shocked when they heard that. Betrothal gift? What betrothal gift? However, before they could think too much, Genie reached out to grab Jiao Shao Huan Pei. He wanted to take it by force. The rest of the people's expressions changed. How dare you? Dragon Son, how can you do this? The crowd tried to stop Jin Yi from fighting for Jiao Shao Huan Pei. However, Jin Yi's gaze froze and he said coldly, "This Jiao Shao Huan Pei, regardless of whether I can play it or not, I want it. Do you want to go against the godly dragon island?" As soon as he said that, everyone was speechless. Go against the godly dragon island? Unless they were tired of living. However, Jiao Shao Huan Pei was an extremely rare celestial artifact. They were reluctant to give it up just like that. Forget it. I can't play Jiao Shao Huan Pei anyway. There's no need to go against the godly dragon island for a useless celestial artifact. That's right. Just let it go. Some of the zither players sighed and could not help but stop. Even Qin Feng, the eldest disciple of Jiao Shao Huan Pei Manor, took a few steps back when he felt Jin Yi's powerful aura. Although he was unwilling, he really did not have the courage to go against Jin Yi. Putting aside the forces behind Jin Yi's cultivation is comparable to a celestial seed king. He is not someone he can fight. There was only one woman left standing in front of Jin Yi. It was a woman in a black dress and holding a black zither. This zither belongs to Jiao Shao Huan Pei Manor. Without the approval of the zither master or the manor master, no one else is allowed to take it. The woman said indifferently. She was another disciple of the zither crown, Shang Chanwan. Rumor had it that Shang Chanwan was not favored by the zither crown because of her unconventional zither Dao. However, ironically, only she dared to stand out and protect the reputation of Jiao Shao Huan Pei Manor. Oh, you want to stop me? Do you have what it takes? Jin Yi sneered. As he raised his hand, violent dragon energy waves erupted, turning into a golden torrent that blasted out. Facing such a powerful attack, Shang Chanwan did not dare to be careless. She kept playing the black zither in her hand. Chaotic music burst out like demons dancing. Guqin waves blasted towards the golden torrent. However, the golden torrent broke through the Guqin waves and blasted towards Shang Chanwan. Shang Chanwan was sent flying hundreds of meters away. Jin Yi raised his hand and a powerful dragon chi burst out again. It turned into a giant dragon claw and grabbed at Shang Chanwan. Oh no! Shang Chanjuan's expression changed. Just as she was about to be killed, a melodious music suddenly sounded behind her and destroyed the giant dragon claw. This power! Zither Crown, you made a move. Dragon, you are at Jiushao Huanpei Manor. Not only did you not follow the rules, you even tried to hurt my disciple. That's too much. Zither Crown walked over slowly and said, I told you, this Jiushao Huanpei is mine. Behind him, a silhouette appeared and a powerful celestial aura swept across the area. Chapter 980. Behind Jin Yi, a golden-haired elder appeared. A powerful celestial aura swept across the area. At once, everyone's expression changed. Qin Guan's eyes dimmed. Looks like Divine Dragon Island came prepared. Jiushao Huanpei, we must get it, the golden-haired elder said. Let's see if Divine Dragon Island can take it from my hands. Qin Guan humph. Jiushao Huanpei was her beloved item. She could find a new owner for it, but she wouldn't allow others to take it by force. The dragon immortal and the celestial's aura clashed. The terrifying pressure sent the Zither masters and cultivators flying. Oh my, the Jiushao banquet has turned into an immortal's battlefield. This is getting interesting. Qin Guan and the golden-haired elder disappeared and then clashed in the air, creating a loud explosion. A zither appeared in Qin Guan's hand. She plucked the strings with her fingers and music spread. The golden-haired dragon immortal grunted and waved her hands. Waves of terrifying dragon energy exploded and tore apart the music. The battle between immortals was extremely powerful. The pressure enveloped the area. On the other side, Jin Yi saw that Qin Guan was being held up. He looked at Jiushao Huanpei and continued to grab it. This time, no one could stop him. But at this moment, zither strings condensed in the air and stopped him. This is Qin Guan's restriction? Humph, immortals are indeed powerful, but you set it up in a hurry. How powerful can it be? It's useless. Genie humph. The dragon energy boiled and turned into a giant dragon claw. The immortal's restriction shook, but it did not break. Seeing this, Jin Yi's eyes narrowed. Oh, looks like I've underestimated you. Qin Guan, this is all you can do. He took out a golden long spear. The long spear glowed brightly. It was an immortal weapon. Jin Yi stabbed with his spear. Under the immortal weapon's buff, this strike was extremely powerful and slowly broke the restriction left by Qin Guan. Qin Feng, let's attack together and stop this person. Shang Chanwan told Qin Feng. But when Qin Feng heard this, he hesitated and said, Don't make any more useless efforts. We are no match for him. Anyway, this Jiushao Huan pendant is useless to us. Just give it to him. Hearing this, Shang Chanwan glared at him. Qin Feng, the Jiushao Huanpei is master's prized possession. Are you just going to watch it be taken away by someone else? How are you putting master's face like this? If you're not going to do it, I'll do it myself. Shang Chanwan attacked again. Seeing this, Jin Yi scoffed coldly. A surge of dragon energy shot out and sent the other party flying once more. You overestimate yourself. Qin Feng shook his head and said. Upon seeing this, a few of the manor's disciples could not help but frown. Although Shang Chanwan was no match for Jin Yi, she was still a member of the Jiushao Huanpei manor. As the eldest disciple of the manor, not only did Qin Feng not help her, he even mocked her from the side. Was this really the eldest senior brother they knew? This was too disappointing. Bang, bang, the seals left behind by the zither crown were all broken. Finally got it. Just as Jin Yi was about to touch the Jiushao Huanpei, the ancient celestial zither suddenly vibrated, and then a clang, the zither strings moved and a grand sound wave suddenly exploded. Jin Yi was the first to be hit and was sent flying. This scene caused everyone to be stunned. Even the zither crown and the golden-haired dragon immortal who were fighting in the sky could not help but stop and looked at the Jiushao Huanpei in shock. The celestial zither floated in the air, shining with celestial light. An overbearing celestial pressure spread out like waves. Jiushao Huanpei rang? Tian Yu Zither Master's expression changed. Everyone was stunned by this sudden change. The ancient zither that had not sounded for many years actually sounded. What's going on? Why did it ring? No one played it just now. Who can tell me what happened? Look, that person. At that moment, someone in the crowd exclaimed. A white-robed young man walked out from the crowd and slowly walked towards the Jiao Shao Huan Pei. This person was handsome and his body was surrounded by celestial light. Every move he made had an extraordinary aura. More importantly, there was a surge of Guqin Dao origin energy flowing around his body, and it was resonating with the Jiao Shao Huan Pei. At that moment, everyone knew. The Jiao Shao Huan Pei had sounded because of this person. It was as if this person was the zither master that the Jiao Shao Huan Pei had been waiting for many years. It's him! Yuan Su, Qin Feng, and the others were shocked to see Chu Kuangren. Some people in the crowd recognized him too. It's Chu Kuangren. I can't believe he's here at the Nine Heavens banquet. What a powerful and mysterious Guqin Dao origin energy. This person is proficient in Guqin Dao. Not only that, but he can also resonate with the Jiao Shao Huan Pei. The crowd was shocked. Zither Crown looked at Chu Kuangren in shock. Such Guqin Dao origin energy, it's the Zither fairy from a few days ago. It's him. Xue Qinxin was a little confused too. Chu Kuangren had said that he knew a thing or two about the Guqin. She believed him, but who could tell her what was going on in front of her? What did he mean by knowing a thing or two? Step by step, Chu Kuangren walked towards the Jiao Shao Huan Pei. The intense Guqin Dao origin energy that emanated from his body spread throughout the entire manor. It was as if all the Guqin at the scene were being controlled by an invisible giant hand, and they automatically played Guqin music. 1,000,000 Guqin resonated. You want to get the Jiao Shao Huan Pei? In your dreams? Jin Yi snorted. He was determined to get the Jiao Shao Huan Pei. He raised his arm and channeled his dragon chi into the immortal weapon in his hand before he launched a spear attack at Chu Kuangren. However, the golden-haired dragon fairy's expression changed. No! However, it was too late. Chu Kuangren focused his sword finger and casually swiped it in the air. 10 surges of origin energy from his body were infused into it, and it turned into a purple sword ray. Wherever the sword ray passed, a purple lotus bloomed. Amidst the explosion, the golden dragon chi was instantly shattered. Jin Yi could not dodge in time and was instantly sliced in half by the sword ray. That sword attack completely shocked everyone at the scene. That Jin Yi was a dragon sage seed. His combat strength was comparable to a celestial seed king. Yet, he was casually killed just like that. What kind of strength was that? Killing a celestial seed king so casually? So the rumors about this person are true. Yuan Su gulped and said. At the side, Qin Feng was already frightened to the point of speechlessness. There was a sense of helplessness in his heart. He could not compete with Jin Yi in terms of strength, talent, and looks. Initially, he thought that if he could play the Jiao Shao Huan Pei, he might have a chance to compete with Jin Yi for the Snow Zither Heart. Now, the Jiao Shao Huan Pei was playing the Jiao Shao Huan Pei. He was utterly defeated. It was a complete and utter defeat. Chu Kuangren slowly walked to the front of the Jiao Shao Huan Pei. His fingers caressed the body of the Guqin, causing the Guqin to vibrate gently and melodious Guqin music to reverberate. Was it you who created the resonance to lure me here? Chu Kuangren murmured. The Jiao Shao Huan Pei vibrated gently as if it was responding. Very well. If that's the case, from today onwards, I shall be your master. Chu Kuangren said. Chapter 981. From today onwards, I will be your master. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. In an instant, the sound of Jiao Shao Huan Pei's zither suddenly resounded through the clouds, and the celestial splendor was dazzling, causing countless zither masters to be extremely envious. Jiao Shao Huan Pei is taken. It's Chu Kuangren. I can't believe he has become the owner of Jiao Shao Huan Pei. In the distance, a surge of intense killing intent suddenly erupted and locked onto Chu Kuangren. It was the golden-haired dragon sage. Chu Kuangren's expression was as gloomy as water. After taking a glance at Jin Yi's corpse on the ground, he said coldly, "Chu Kuangren, you've killed the godly Dragon Island's dragon son. You're courting death." With that, his figure turned into a ray of golden light and flew towards Chu Kuangren. Waves of dragon chi erupted and shook the surrounding void. Everyone exclaimed. No matter how strong Chu Kuangren was, he would still be helpless against an immortal, especially one from the dragon clan, right? Could it be that Chu Kuangren, who had just become the owner of the Jiushao Huanpei, was going to fall so soon? This zither master's life was too short. Then I'll use you to test the power of this zither, Chu Kuangren said indifferently. He pressed his 10 fingers on the strings. Due to the talent of the heart of the 7-string zither, he felt as if he had merged with Jiushao Huanpei and entered an ethereal realm. Then he moved his 10 fingers. In an instant, the majestic sound of the zither shook the 9 heavens. The golden-haired dragon immortal's expression changed, and he retreated again and again. However, Chu Kuangren did not stop there. His 10 fingers continued to move as he pushed the Emperor technique, the 8 celestial demonic chords, which he had learned in the past, to its limit. Although it was only an Emperor technique, with Chu Kuangren's current strength and the support of the 9 firmament ring pendant, its power was still extremely domineering. Even the golden-haired dragon immortal had a solemn look on her face. Not only that, in the instant that he resonated with Jiushao Huanpei, he felt that his understanding of the Zither Dao was rising rapidly. The Emperor technique, 8 celestial demon chords, was also constantly improving, gradually transforming into an immortal technique. Spiritual chi surged between heaven and earth, and the sound of the Dao and the Zither reverberated. A seal of proof condensed. Chu Kuangren had once again created his own immortal technique. The 8 celestial demonic chords had transformed into immortals. Everyone was speechless. The might of the 8 celestial demonic chords and Jiushao Huanpei, which had become a celestial technique, had increased by several levels. Terrifying zither waves enveloped heaven and earth, shaking the entire universe. This part of the world fell silent. Only Chu Kuangren's guqin music echoed in the air. The sun, moon, mountains, and rivers seemed to have lost their light at this moment. In the eyes of the crowd, there was only one person and one zither, stirring up the universe. 8 celestial and demonic chords, grand melody desolate. Chu Kuangren soon reached the highest realm of the 8 celestial demonic chords. He plucked the strings with his fingers and suddenly released them. The world was silent. The zither was also silent. However, the silence contained the ultimate truth of the Zither Dao, as well as the extremely terrifying and magnificent Zither Dao source power that could shatter stars. The Zither masters present were all stunned. Even Qin Guan's face was full of surprise. The soundless sound of the zither exploded, blasting towards the golden-haired dragon immortal. The terrifying might caused the golden-haired dragon immortal's pupils to contract uncontrollably. Next, thick waves of immortal elemental energy erupted from his body. Golden Dragon Shield. The golden dragon chi intertwined and turned into a golden shield. However, when the zither music struck, the terrifying power shattered the golden dragon shield, causing the golden-haired dragon immortal to spit out blood. This is bad. Retreat. The golden-haired dragon immortal's expression changed. His figure turned into a stream of light and flew into the distance. He was forced to flee from Chu Kuangren's attack. Everyone was dumbfounded. After all, that was a dragon immortal. And a dragon immortal at that. However, such a powerful being was still no match for Chu Kuangren. He was still forced to flee. More importantly, Chu Kuangren had not become an immortal yet. He was still just a fairy seed. Oh my God, I heard that this person can defy the heavens and kill immortals. I thought it was just an exaggeration, but it seems like it's true. Oh my God, this person's strength is too terrifying. He can even defy the heavens and kill immortals. Even a fairy seed cultivated by an immortal ancient orthodoxy would not have such strength. Is this person really just an outsider? The crowd discussed among themselves. They looked at Chu Kuangren as if they were looking at a monster. Meanwhile, Xue Qinxin, Shang Chanwan, and the other girls looked at Chu Kuangren with sparkling eyes. They could not help but fall in love with him. He had an extraordinary temperament, was handsome, and was even more powerful. There were not many girls who would not be attracted to a fairy seed like him. Lan Yu, who was watching from the side, could not help but shake his head. Indeed, the master's charm was irresistible no matter where he went. Unfortunately, the master's heart was set on reaching a higher cultivation realm. He had never been interested in things like beauty. Otherwise, the Firmament Empire would have so many women willing to give themselves to him. With just a word, he could easily have a harem of 3,000 beauties. This 9 firmaments ring pendant is quite powerful. Chu Kuangren smiled as he looked at the 9 firmaments ring pendant in his hand. The grade of this guqin was even higher than the 3-headed 6-armed resentful Buddha. Not only that, but Chu Kuangren used the spirit of omniscience, Xiao AI, to analyze the guqin and found that it was far more than just an ordinary immortal weapon. This guqin was one of the fragments of the ultimate origin treasure. That was what surprised Chu Kuangren the most. The ultimate origin treasure, as the name suggested, was a treasure that was born directly from the origin. It was much more advanced than ordinary immortal weapons. Even in the ancient and complete immortal realm, it was a rare treasure. Its value was no less than the complete Jade Lake immortal scripture. In fact, it was even more valuable. A fragment of the ultimate origin treasure. Interesting. I didn't expect to get such a reward. Chu Kuangren murmured. The value of the 9 firmaments ring pendant was much greater than he had imagined. What a great 8 celestial demonic cords. Qin Guan walked up and looked at Chu Kuangren with admiration in her eyes. The 9 firmaments ring pendant finally has an owner. She glanced at the 9 firmaments ring pendant. Her eyes were filled with reluctance, but she was also happy that the divine guqin had found an owner. Qin Guan, thank you for giving me this guqin. Chu Kuangren bowed slightly. All of this is because the 9 firmaments ring pendant chose you, and I'm just giving it to you. Qin Guan smiled. Then, Qin Guan dismissed the crowd. Honorable teacher, are you all right? At that moment, Qin Feng walked up and asked with concern. However, Qin Guan glanced at him with an indifferent gaze. From now on, you shall resign from your position as the elder's senior brother. She was not blind. At the critical moment, she could clearly see who was the one who could be entrusted with the heavy responsibility and the future of Jiushao Huanpei Manor. Upon hearing that, Qin Feng's face turned pale. He knew. He was done for. Forget about marrying Xue Qinxin, his position in the 9 firmaments ring pendant manor would also plummet. Yes. However, he did not dare to complain or disobey. Qin Guan was the master of the manor. Here, her words were the law, and no one could defy it. Then, Qin Guan looked at Shang Chanwan and her expression softened. Don't run around outside anymore. Qinxin is still not mature enough. I need someone to take care of the manor for me. Shang Chanwan was stunned. You're not against my guqin anymore? I've never objected to your guqin. It's just that your guqin sword is unconventional. I'm afraid that you can't handle it, so I'm stricter with you. Now, it seems that you're doing well in your cultivation, so come back. Yes, honorable teacher. Shang Chanwan was extremely excited. Chapter 982. Inside the 9 firmaments Huanpei Manor, Guqin Guan, Jin Guan, Chu Kuangren, and the others were gathered together. They were talking about the Divine Dragon Island. This time, the dragon son of the Divine Dragon Island has died here. I don't think they will let this go easily. Brother Chu, you must be careful. Guqin Guan looked at Chu Kuangren and said, with Guqin Guan at the 9 firmaments Huanpei Manor and the fact that the dragon's son did not die in Guqin Guan's hands, she was not afraid that the Divine Dragon Island would fight her to the death. However, Chu Kuangren would not be let off so easily. Sword Burial Ocean, Divine Flame Church, Sage Capital, Golden Hill Temple, and Wutong Mountain. These are enough to give me a headache, but now there's the Divine Dragon Island. Master, you're really good at stirring up trouble. Jingguan took a deep breath and said helplessly. Even at his peak, he would have a hard time dealing with these few forces. However, Chu Kuangren was just an immortal seed, and he was not even an immortal. He had almost offended all the immortal orthodoxies in the Qinglan immortal realm. Such behavior could only be described as insane. It's just killing a few immortal seeds. It's not a big deal. Chu Kuangren said calmly. He knew what he was doing. His current strength was comparable to an immortal. Together with Jianguan, unless these immortal orthodoxies joined forces and sent a few immortals to surround and kill him, he had nothing to fear with his current strength. Moreover, these immortal orthodoxies were fighting each other openly and secretly. If they wanted to join forces because of him and risk losing immortals to kill him without any common interests, that was basically impossible. Let's not talk about the other immortal orthodoxies for now. The only troublesome ones are the Divine Dragon Island and Wutong Mountain. No one knows how strong they are or how many immortals they have. The only ones who can go against them are the immortal ancient forces. The immortal ancient forces in the Qinglan immortal realm, Chu Kuangren pondered. By the way, why would the Divine Dragon Island have their eyes on the 9 firmaments Huanpei? Jianguan suddenly changed the topic. They want to use the 9 firmaments Huanpei as a betrothal gift. Jianguan Huanpei said, Betrothal gift? Yes, the young master of the Divine Dragon Island's Golden Dragon bloodline wants to marry a phoenix lady from Wutong Mountain. I heard that the current Phoenix Lord of Wutong Mountain is quite knowledgeable in the Tao of the Zither and likes to collect the world's famous zither. Therefore, the Golden Dragon young master sent Jin Yi to retrieve the Jiaoshao Huanpei as a betrothal gift. Qin Guan said. Hearing this, Jian Guan frowned slightly. What's going on? Are the 2 divine beast clans going to unite by marriage? A marriage alliance between the divine beasts was no small matter. This would definitely cause a huge shock in the Qinglan immortal world, especially those demon clans. They would definitely not sit back and do nothing. Regarding the marriage, the 2 divine beast clans have not publicly expressed their opinions, but according to reliable sources, the opinions of the higher-ups of both sides are basically the same. Otherwise, Jin Yi would not have come to me to retrieve the Jiaoshao Huanpei Qin. No wonder you want to host the Feast of the 9 Heavens. You were forced to do so by the 2 mythological beast clans, Jianguan said mockingly. No matter how strong Jianguan was, it was still not enough to face the 2 mythological beast clans. However, she did not want to hand over the Jiaoshao Huanpei Qin just like that, so she decided to host the Feast of the 9 Heavens. It's not entirely forced. Some time ago, when the Jiaoshao Huanpei Qin was acting strangely, I thought it was a zither immortal who had attained her Taoist Tao. So I wanted to use this opportunity to befriend her. I didn't expect that zither immortal to be Brother Chu. Jingguan Guan looked at Chu Kuangren and said. The few of them conversed for a while. Not long after, a sword ray suddenly flew in from outside the door. The sword ray then turned into a jade token and landed in Xue Qinxin's hand. Xue Qinxin was stunned when she saw the jade token. This is a notice from the academy. What? I'm going to participate in the assessment in half a year? Academy? The 100 Clan Academy? Chu Kuangren thought to himself. Miss Xue, are you still a student of the 100 Clan Academy? Yes, not only that. The academy has just informed me that I'll be participating in the assessment in half a year, Xue Qinxin said. The students of the 100 Clan Academy would hold an assessment every once in a while, and those who failed the assessment would be punished in various ways. The most severe cases could even result in expulsion from the academy. The 100 Clan Academy? Perhaps it's time for me to go there too. Chu Kuangren murmured. Going to the 100 Clan Academy was something that he had planned for a long time. The 100 Clan Academy was an immortal ancient orthodoxy that was on par with Mount Wutong and Dragon Island. Moreover, there were all sorts of ancient books and cultivation techniques in the academy. If he wanted to create his own origin, that knowledge might be helpful to him. Brother Chu, do you want to go to the 100 Clan Academy too? Xue Qinxin's eyes lit up when she heard Chu Kuangren's words. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. That's the thought. That's great. Let's go together. Xue Qinxin said with a hint of excitement. Beside her, Jingguan was deep in thought. The 100 Clan Academy is an immortal ancient orthodoxy. It's not any weaker than Mount Wutong or Dragon Island. If we can join it, the other immortal orthodoxies will have to think twice before making trouble for us. Obviously, he thought that Chu Kuangren wanted to go to the 100 Clan Academy to seek protection. Chu Kuangren did not explain much either. After staying at the 9 Firmament Huan Pei Manor for a few days, Xue Qinxin packed her things and prepared to go to the 100 Clan Academy to participate in the assessment. Chu Kuangren and the others were accompanying them as well. Along the way, Xue Qinxin would occasionally tell Chu Kuangren about the 100 Clan Library to supplement his knowledge of the academy. Among them, the ones that were often mentioned were the 12 teachers of the 100 academies. These 12 teachers were the 12 most famous gold medal lecturers of the 100 academies. Their cultivation was high and their knowledge was profound. For example, Mr. 12 of the academy was an expert in archery. With a bow in hand, even immortals had to be wary. There was also Mr. 10th from the academy. He was an expert in alchemy, and it was said that he had the experience of refining immortal pills. Mr. 9th was good at runes, while Mr. 8th was good at formations. These 12 gentlemen each have their own strengths, and the world takes delight in talking about them. And above these 12 misters was the Dean of the 100 Clans Academy, one of the few people who stood at the peak of the Qinglan immortal realm. His cultivation level was even higher than 7 crowns. The 12 masters of the academy and the Dean? I'm really looking forward to it, Chu Kuangren muttered. On a warship. In the room. A strange surge of origin energy erupted from Chu Kuangren's body. That was the chaotic origin energy. His chaotic physique had finally been upgraded to an immortal physique. This time, he had learned his lesson and set up layers of restrictions around himself to isolate the immortal physique's fluctuations. With the help of this physique, he had successfully mastered the chaotic origin energy. Next target, the heavenly golden imperial physique. Chu Kuangren murmured. Since the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart and the chaotic physique had both successfully transformed, he had gradually become more adept at upgrading his physique. A month later, the heavenly golden imperial physique had been successfully upgraded. The heavenly golden origin energy had been mastered. Half a month later, the fallen darkness physique had been successfully upgraded. The darkness origin energy had been mastered. 10 days later, the infallible tormented physique had been successfully upgraded. The innate ferocious origin energy had been mastered. In the span of 3 months, Chu Kuangren had continuously upgraded 13 types of Taoist physiques and mastered 13 new types of origin energies. The Book of Physique is indeed extraordinary. Using the upgrade of my physique to master various origin energy is indeed the right choice. Even if I don't use any immortal weapons now, I can probably fight an immortal with just these origin energy alone. Chu Kuangren murmured. That was not all. Although he had not mastered all 3,000 Taoist physiques in the firmament star, he had analyzed nearly 100 of them. He could still continue to upgrade his physique and master the corresponding origin energy. Chapter 983. A warship was heading towards the 100 Academy. In the distance, a few figures were quickly chasing after the warship. These people were all wearing golden armor and cloaks, and there was a 3-legged golden crow embroidered on their cloaks. They were the Honorable Demon Court's Golden Crow Guards. Is Chu Kuangren on that warship? Yes, if our intel is correct, Chu Kuangren is on it. The Honorable Demon Lord has ordered us to bring him back. This person is protected by Sword Crown, but we've already asked that person to help us. We cannot afford to fail this mission. The Golden Crow Guards communicated. Soon, the Golden Crow Guards arrived above the warship. They worked together to channel their demonic chi and blocked the warship in midair. Amidst the commotion, the warship shook. Xue Qinxin, Lan Yu, and Sword Crown all looked at the Golden Crow Guards. Sword Crown had a strange look in his eyes. Oh, the Golden Crow Guards? Are they here for the Green Phoenix? Sword Crown thought to himself. Since you're here, it seems that Chu Kuangren is also on this warship. The Demon Lord has ordered for Brother Chu to go to the Demon Court. One of the Golden Crow guards said. What if I refuse? An indifferent voice came from the warship. It was Chu Kuangren. Brother Chu, please don't make things difficult for us. The Golden Crow guard frowned. Oh, from what you're saying, if I'm not willing, you're going to use force, right? That's what I was thinking. Sword Crown, send them away. Chu Kuangren chuckled. He had no intention of going to the demon court now. Perhaps he would go in the future, but not now. Sword Crown shook his head helplessly. All right, now that we've offended the honorable demon court, the demon race has been thoroughly offended by Master. Dragon Island, Wutong Mountain, 2 divine beast tribes. The honorable demon court was the largest organization of the demon race. Almost half of the demon race's experts were gathered there, enough to command 99% of the demon race. These 3 forces together were equivalent to the entire demon race in the Qinglan immortal realm, but now, they had all been offended by Chu Kuangren. This was no different from offending the entire demon race. He did not think too much about it. Since he had chosen to follow Chu Kuangren, he would not regret it. He could only walk this path to the end. Just as he was about to make his move, an incomparably powerful saber intent suddenly came from afar. The saber intent was so cold that Jingguan's eyes darkened. Then, he turned around and looked at the mountain peak in the distance. On the summit of the mountain, a middle-aged man stood proudly with a cold expression. A long saber with a white scabbard inlaid with precious jade hung from his waist. This person stood at the top of the mountain, and the wind and clouds around him seemed to be frozen by the peerlessly terrifying saber intent. Between heaven and earth, there seemed to be only one person and one saber left. Sword Crown's eyes were unprecedentedly serious. I didn't expect you to come. Dao Crown. Dao Guan, the master of the sword burial sea, one of the 7 crowns. He was also the person who defeated Sword Crown back then. It could even be said that after defeating Sword Crown, Blade Crown seemed to be the leader of the 7 crowns. I heard that you made a comeback and even followed an immortal seed. At first, I only thought that it was a joke, but now it seems that you have truly fallen to such a level. Following an immortal seed, are you even worthy of being one of the 7 champions? Dao Guan said indifferently. The long saber at his waist buzzed, and a terrifying saber intent wreaked havoc in the void. If a despicable and shameless guy like you can be one of the 7 champions, why can't I? Sword Crown chuckled. He was smiling, but his eyes were exceptionally cold. The sword intent on his body spread and collided with the surging saber intent, causing the void to tremble. Everyone felt that the surrounding saber intent and sword intent seemed to have materialized and collided with each other, almost tearing the void apart. How terrifying! Is this the strength of the peak swordsman? Fortunately, the demon lord had the foresight to ask us to invite Sword Crown. Otherwise, I'm afraid we won't be able to do anything to Sword Crown. A few Golden Crow guards were speechless. Meanwhile, in the warship, Chu Kuangren had also sensed Sword Crown's presence. A battle between the sword and the saber? Sword Crown, go do what you have to do. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Thank you, Master. Sword Crown nodded slightly. His figure flashed and dashed toward Sword Crown's direction. Their swords and sabers had yet to collide, but the saber intent and sword intent had already caused the surrounding wind and clouds to surge. It was as if sword marks and saber marks had been cut into the air. With a loud bang, the huge mountain beneath Sword Crown's feet collapsed due to the terrifying battle between the saber intent and sword intent, causing billowing smoke and dust to rise. Looks like you've recovered. Is this the reason why you followed him? Sword Crown said. He was naturally referring to Chu Kuangren. However, Sword Crown did not answer him directly. Instead, his eyes revealed a look of nostalgia as he asked in a complicated tone, "Is she doing well?" "Very well. She's the mistress of the sword burial sea, second only to one and above all others, enjoying the glory of the world," Sword Crown said indifferently. That's good." Sword Crown shook his head and smiled. Then, the sword intent on his body increased again. The green lotus immortal sword flew out from his body, and green lotuses bloomed one after another in the void. Sword Crown held the immortal sword in his hand, and his sword intent soared into the sky. I lost that battle many years ago, but today, you and I shall fight again. I don't mind losing to you again. Sword Crown's eyes lit up. With a clang, the long saber at his waist was unsheathed. It was a saber that glowed with a green light, and its hilt looked like the mouth of a python. As the saber was unsheathed, the domineering sword intent became even more ferocious. One of the 3 famous sabers of the sword burial sea, the green python. This saber is still as ferocious as ever. Sword Crown chuckled. As soon as he said that, both of them disappeared on the spot. The next moment, a thunderous explosion erupted between the heavens and the earth. The saber and the sword collided, and the immortal core chi formed from the saber and sword swept across the heavens and the earth. The clouds rumbled, but they were separated by the saber and sword chi, forming a huge crack that stretched for millions of miles. At that moment, it was as if the sky had split open. Gulp, Xianxia was so shocked that she gulped. Her mother was also one of the 7 crowns, but she had never seen such destructive power in front of her. It was her first time witnessing such a terrifying battle. Is this a battle between top-notch immortals? Xianxia murmured. The battle between Sword Crown and Sword Crown was, of course, spectacular. However, the Golden Crow Guards were not there to watch the battle. Instead, they looked at the warship with a cold look in their eyes. Brother Chu, don't blame us if you don't want to cooperate. A few Golden Crow Guards immediately attacked. Even the weakest of these Golden Crow Guards had the strength of a pseudo-immortal. With one attack, they broke through the warship's defensive chi barrier and charged towards Chu Kuangren. How dare you all! A cold snort was heard. A terrifying surge of Emperor's chi suddenly swept out from the room Chu Kuangren was in, blasting away the few Golden Crow Guards who were charging towards him. Some of the weaker ones even exploded into a mist of blood on the spot. A creak was heard. The room's door opened. Chu Kuangren, dressed in a white robe, slowly walked out. With a lift of his arm, the terrifying Emperor's chi combined with the origin energy transformed into a giant golden hand that grabbed a few Golden Crow Guards. With a slight squeeze, the Golden Crow Guards died on the spot. Chapter 984. Chu Kuangren walked out of the room and killed the Golden Crow Guards. Then he looked into the void. There he sensed a powerful aura. These Golden Crow Guards are no match for me. How long are you going to hide? Come out. Chu Kuangren stood with his hands behind his back and said indifferently. As soon as he finished speaking, a golden figure walked out of the void. It was a middle-aged man with a medium build and golden hair. His eyes were as sharp as an eagle's. He was also a Golden Crow Guard, but his aura was much stronger than the other Golden Crow Guards. They were on a completely different level. He was a Golden Crow Guard. In order to bring Chu Kuangren back, the Honorable Demon Court had not only asked the Saber Crown to help, but they had also sent out a Golden Crow Beast. Such a lineup could not be said to be small. Brother Chu, the Demon Lord just wants to invite you over as a guest. Why are you so resistant? The golden-haired Golden Crow Beast said. Invite me over? He's just pretending to be a guest. His real purpose is this green phoenix mirror. Chu Kuangren took out the green phoenix mirror and said. After seeing the green phoenix mirror, the golden-haired Golden Crow Beast's expression changed slightly, and he immediately became alert. Obviously, he knew the power of this immortal weapon. Brother Chu, if you want to use the green phoenix mirror against me, I'm afraid you're making a big mistake. My strength is not something that Flaming Sun Immortal can compare to. He's only a lower tier, and I'm a middle tier. The golden-haired Golden Crow Beast said. Although he was wary of the green phoenix mirror, he was not too afraid. In his opinion, Chu Kuangren was only an immortal seed, and the power that he could unleash was limited. Besides, he was not on the same level as Flaming Sun Immortal. A common immortal. The Flaming Sun Immortal was only a first-grade cultivator among the 3 lower grades, while Chu Kuangren was a 4th-grade cultivator among the 3 middle grades. Not to mention that Flaming Sun Immortal had lost an arm during his battle with Chu Kuangren, so he was not in his best condition. Heh, it doesn't matter what grade you are. The important thing is, do you dare to try? Chu Kuangren said as he played with the green phoenix mirror. The golden-haired golden crow beast looked at Chu Kuangren's confident look and could not help but hesitate. Did this person really have the strength to fight him? This person was only an immortal seed, but he had repeatedly done things that only an immortal seed could do. Perhaps this person really had a way to contend against him. Why did the Honorable Demon Court send such a coward? Chu Kuangren sneered. Then, he did something that surprised the golden-haired monster immortal and the others. He put away the azure Luan mirror and said to the golden-haired immortal beast, I won't use the azure Luan mirror. Do you dare to attack me now? Seeing his actions, everyone was dumbfounded. In the distance, Dao Guan had also noticed what was happening on the battleship, and he could not help but sneer. This Chu Kuangren is really arrogant to think that he can defeat an immortal without using his immortal weapon. The young master's ability is not something you can predict. Jian Guan said lightly. Although he was also very surprised by Chu Kuangren's actions, he had seen too many unbelievable things about Chu Kuangren. He chose to trust the other party. On the warship, the golden-haired demon immortal's face was as gloomy as water. He felt that he was being looked down upon. No, he was being looked down upon. He was being looked down upon by an immortal seed. He, a dignified middle-grade 3 demon immortal, was dealing with a celestial seed, but not only was the celestial seed not afraid, it was also constantly provoking him. This made him extremely furious. Without any hesitation, he instantly attacked. With a move of his body, he charged towards Chu Kuangren and gathered a large amount of immortal core energy in his hand before he unleashed a palm attack. Seeing that, Chu Kuangren smiled faintly and did not retreat. He focused his sword fingers and sword chi flowed on his fingertips. Dozens of origin energies within his body erupted at the same time to strengthen the sword chi. He chose to fight his opponent head-on. There was a loud bang. When the two forces collided, both of them were pushed back. The golden-haired demon immortal's eyes widened in disbelief. With your strength, how is this possible? A person who had yet to become an immortal was able to fight against a middle-grade 3 immortal like him. Moreover, he did not use any external power but purely relied on his own strength to fight against an immortal. So much origin energies. What's going on with this person? How did he do it? A series of questions emerged in the golden-haired demon immortal's mind. In the distance, Jian Guan and Dao Guan could not help but be shocked. Master has so much origin energies on him. Did he go into closed-door meditation for 3 months just for this origin energies? How does the young master cultivate? Jian Guan was shocked. He was even more determined to follow Chu Kuangren. Dao Guan was also shocked. This person can really go against the heavens and kill immortals. It's not an injustice that my son lost to him. His son was the Saber King who was defeated by Chu Kuangren. He was also a ruler of celestial seeds. However, he was nothing compared to Chu Kuangren. With my current strength, I can indeed fight against an immortal. Chu Kuangren sensed his own strength and smiled in satisfaction. His figure quickly changed as he activated the ethereal illusion body. It was an immortal technique that he created himself. Following that, the Thousand Lotus Sword intent, Sword Chi Heaven Weave, Moonlight Illuminates the River, Endless Wrath, and many other immortal techniques were unleashed one after another towards the golden-haired demon immortal. He had now treated the golden-haired demon immortal as his test subject. D**MNit, Chu Kuangren's strength has far exceeded my expectations. If this goes on, I won't be able to subdue him. I'm afraid I'll be severely injured as well. Let's leave this place first. The golden-haired demon immortal thought to himself. He let out a long roar and transformed into his true form. It was a gigantic golden condor. The golden condor flapped its wings and its figure flashed. Its speed was so fast that it looked like a golden lightning bolt as it flew into the distance. Chu Kuangren sneered when he saw that. He then took out the purple divine bow and cast the Li family's forbidden technique, forming a blood-colored arrow. Swoosh, the blood-colored arrow pierced through the air. The arrow turned into an azure dragon and instantly caught up to the golden condor. It smashed into the golden condor's back and smashed it down from the sky. Chu Kuangren cast the space conveyor technique. In the next instant, he appeared in front of the golden-haired demon immortal. The descendant's self-sword on his waist was unsheathed and its origin energy erupted. The technique testimony seal was also added onto the immortal technique, and the thousand lotus sword intent instantly erupted. A purple sword ray bloomed and a bloody mist gushed out. The golden-haired demon immortal's body was instantly sliced in half. Chu Kuangren had once again defied the heavens and killed an immortal. The remaining Golden Crow guards' expressions changed drastically. They wanted to escape, but Lan Yu was already in front of them. The power of the radiant combat immortal physique was unleashed. Lan Yu waved the scepter in her hand and imbued it with the light combat origin energy. It was an exquisite battle technique that belonged to the celestial realm's winged human tribe. The Golden Crow guards were not weak, but unfortunately, they had long been scared out of their wits by Chu Kuangren. All they wanted to do was to escape. Although they were not weaker than Lan Yu, they could not unleash their full potential. Not long after, the remaining Golden Crow guards were all killed. In the distance, Sword Crown's pupils shrank when he saw the Golden Crow guards fall. What a heaven-defying peerless celestial seed! He waved the long saber in his hand, and the domineering saber ray instantly forced Sword Crown to retreat. Then he did not stay any longer and retreated. Chapter 985. Dao Guan's strength far surpassed the beast immortal that Chu Kuangren killed. If he wanted to leave, Jingguan would not be able to stop him even if he wanted to. Jingguan looked in the direction that Dao Guan left and pondered. His strength is much stronger than before. In a flash, he returned to the warship. Chu Kuangren glanced at him and said, "You're injured." "It's just a small injury." Chu Kuangren raised his hand and activated the spring breeze healing technique. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth mixed with the origin energy surged towards Jingguan. This emperor technique had been upgraded to an immortal technique by him, so it was quite effective even for immortals. Jingguan's injury recovered very quickly. "Thank you, Master. What happened during your battle with Dao Guan back then?" Chu Kuangren's interest was piqued. Jingguan looked a little nostalgic when he heard that. "It's all in the past. Back then, Dao Guan and I agreed to battle. Many years ago, the fame of the Seven Crowns resounded throughout the Qinglan immortal world. No one could compare to them. Moreover, Dao Crown was fighting for the position of the Seven Crowns. He wanted to prove that he had defeated all the swordsmen in the world. At that time, Jingguan was in high spirits and naturally agreed. However, during the time of the challenge, Jingguan met a woman. It was said that even heroes have a weakness for a beautiful woman, and it was the same for Jingguan. As he spent time with this woman, he couldn't help but gradually fall in love with her. He traveled all over the world with her and spent the happiest time of his life. From then on, Jingguan only had one more thing in his life. Later on, Jingguan went to the battle, only to find out that the woman he loved was Dao Guan's fiancée. Did this cause Jingguan to lose his mind? In the end, he lost to Dao Guan and became a useless person? Lingering in the tavern. Wow, this Dao Guan is quite good at playing. He actually sent his fiancée to seduce you and then disturb your mind during the duel. Is he trying to find a hat to wear for himself? This is the first time I've heard of this. Chu Kuangren said in surprise. Do you hate that woman? Next to her? Xue Qingxin asked curiously. At first, I hated her, but then I got over it. Her family was attached to the sword burial ocean, so she had no choice? What a pitiful person. Jingguan shook his head and smiled. You're quite broad-minded. Chu Kuangren teased and did not probe further. The group continued to advance towards the 100 Clan Academy. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren went back to his closed-door meditation. Upgrading his Taoist physique? In order to grasp more origin energy, he wanted to grasp more. The current him? Watch the surroundings? Almost all of them were enemies? A sword crown was no longer enough to ensure his safety. What he needed was more power. Another 2 months passed. Had Chu Kuangren and the others finally arrived at the 100 Academy? This academy is located in the mountains? Is the academy very large? It encompassed a radius of 1,000,000 miles. But in the academy? A chain of peaks? The immortal waterfall poured down in torrents, and rare beasts galloped across the land? Soaring across the horizon, there were even floating islands, immortal splendor shining brightly. It was like an immortal paradise. Besides that, Chu Kuangren also sensed a different aura in this academy. There were demons, humans, and outsiders. These auras were mixed together, actually coexisting here. Rumor has it that the academy educates everyone without discrimination. It seems that it is indeed so. Chu Kuangren murmured. A friend has come from afar. Friend, I wonder if you could come to the Tianyi Pavilion for a chat? A voice came from afar. It was the academy's higher-ups who wanted to meet Chu Kuangren. He was not surprised. He was now quite famous in the Qinglan immortal world. He had offended many major forces, and he had Jianguan by his side. These people would not just sit back and watch him visit the 100 Clan Academy. Miss Shui, I'll go meet the other masters first, Chu Kuangren said. The next moment, both he and Jianguan disappeared from where they stood. The Tianyi Pavilion, the 100 Clan Academy's meeting place for guests. Today, more than half of the 12 masters of the 100 Clan Academy were gathered here. Even Mr. First was there. It could be said that apart from the schoolmaster, almost all the higher-ups of the 100 Clan Academy were here, and they were here to meet one person. Not long after, outside the Tianyi Pavilion, a white-robed young man walked in with an old man. The masters in the Tianyi Pavilion were stunned as they looked at the white-robed young man who was slowly walking towards them. This is Chu Kuangren, who has recently risen to fame. He doesn't have the aura of the lightning tribulation. He has yet to step onto the path of immortalhood. But how did he manage to defy the heavens and kill immortals? This is strange. What a chaotic aura. I can't tell what Tao he's cultivating or what origin it is. The more they looked at the young man, the more surprised they became. Chu Kuangren entered the Tianyi Pavilion with Jianguan and saw the masters in front of him. There were men and women, young and old. Even the weakest among them was a top-notch half-immortal. The two in the middle were even immortals. Moreover, they were not ordinary immortals. They were top-tier immortals. They were on the same level as the 7 crowns. Chu Kuangren activated his spirit of omniscience. After some analysis, he was able to understand most of the masters in front of him. My name is Chu Kuangren. Nice to meet you all. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. There's no need to be so courteous, Brother Chu. May I know what brings you to the 100 Academy? An elegant middle-aged man smiled. He was dressed in a green robe and had a long and steady aura. He was the Academy's Mr. First. Chu Kuangren did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. I've heard that the Academy has an ocean of books that contains hundreds of ancient books. I'd like to enter and take a look. All disciples of the Academy are allowed to enter the ocean of books. Brother Chu, your request isn't too difficult. Mr. First smiled. What's your condition? Chu Kuangren asked. Since Mr. First agreed so readily, he did not think that Mr. First did not have any ulterior motives. Mr. First smiled. Brother Chu, since you're a straightforward man, I'll cut to the chase. Jianguan's swordsmanship is outstanding, while Brother Chu's medical skills are unparalleled. Both of them are talented, so I'd like to have both of you teach in the academy. Oh, how do you know that my medical skills are unparalleled? Isn't it because Brother Chu cured Jianguan that he chose to follow you? Mr. First asked with a smile. It was not difficult for them to find out about this. Being a teacher is a new and interesting experience. Alright, but I'll say this first. There are so many disciples in the academy, so I can't possibly teach all of them. You can decide who to teach and I'll decide how to teach them. Chu Kuangren said. Alright, we'll do as you say, Brother Chu. After a short conversation, Chu Kuangren stayed in the academy for the time being. Not long after, the news of 2 new teachers in the academy spread like wildfire. Jianguan and Chu Kuangren. These 2 names caused a huge stir in the academy. Jianguan is coming to the academy to teach? Oh my God, this is the might of the academy. Even the famous Zhenguan is here. He's a person who stands at the peak of swordsmanship. If we can get his guidance, we'll definitely benefit a lot. Wait a minute, Chu Kuangren. Isn't that the peerless celestial seed that defied the heavens? He's coming to the academy to teach as well. Tiski, both of them are incredible figures. The academy is going to be lively. Chapter 986. The academy had arranged accommodations for Chu Kuangren, Jian Guan, and the others. As for the matter of teaching, there was no clear statement yet. Jian Guan didn't really care about teaching. Giving pointers to a group of juniors was a piece of cake for him. The next day, Chu Kuangren arrived at the 100 Academies Sea of Books. The Sea of Books was actually the library of the 100 Academies. However, it was named the Sea of Books, which showed how rich the collection of books there was. The person guarding the library was a delicate and pretty woman. He was Mr. Fourth of the academy. She was sitting at the entrance of the Sea of Books, reading an ancient book in her hand. When she saw Chu Kuangren, she nodded slightly. Chu Kuangren returned the gesture. He glanced at the book in Mr. Fourth's hand. It was a medical book. Could it be that Mr. Fourth was an expert in medicine? Mr. of the academy, everyone has their own strengths. I specialize in medical skills, and I've seen the injury of the sword crown before, but I was helpless. If Brother Chu can cure it, I'd like to learn from you if there's a chance. Mr. Fourth smiled faintly. All right. Chu Kuangren did not reject either. He walked into the ocean of books and looked at the endless collection of books before him. He couldn't help but sigh in admiration. He had heard that the ocean of books of the academy had a specialized page boy who searched for new books all over the celestial realm, constantly expanding the size of the ocean of books. Therefore, the number of books in the Sea of Books was constantly increasing. Even for immortals, it was not easy to think about it, let alone comprehend it thoroughly. This was something that even immortals could not do. Chu Kuangren activated his mind power and the names of all the books in the book ocean appeared in his mind. Formation, Alchemy Tao, Runes, Strange News, Geography, Astronomy, Physiognomy, Medical Books, Chimen Duanjia Cultivation Books. It could be said that it encompassed all paths, including hundreds of schools of thought. This sea of books? This was a treasure trove of knowledge that ordinary cultivators would find hard to take. A strange look appeared in Chu Kuangren's eyes. He continued to use his psyche power to sense for a while, but not long after, he could not help but frown. He came here to find a way to create his own source. However, although there were countless books in this sea of books, there was no knowledge in this area. Come to think of it, creating his own origin source? This kind of thing was unheard of in the immortal world? How could there be records of it in the ancient books? He shook his head. Such a thing? It was already within his expectations. Then let me be the pioneer. He did not feel discouraged. Creating an origin? Do you really need a lot of theoretical knowledge to support it? The knowledge in the sea of books? They could become his resources. I can't. Wouldn't it be a wasted trip? He took out an ancient book and began to read. His reading speed was very fast. With a thought, the countless words recorded in the book automatically appeared in his mind. But this was only reading words? If Chu Kuangren wanted to thoroughly understand it, it would depend on his level of comprehension. Coincidentally, Chu Kuangren's greatest strength was his comprehension. The three souls of heaven, earth, and man came out at the same time. The speed at which he comprehended the ancient books was shockingly fast. Within a day, he had finished reading over 100 ancient books. Furthermore, he didn't just memorize them, but completely understood them. Not far away, Mr. Fourth frowned slightly. Naturally, she had noticed Chu Kuangren's actions. Could he really learn anything by reading books like that? Or was he looking for something? Mr. Fourth didn't understand, but he didn't ask further. Very soon. 10 days had passed. Chu Kuangren had read more than 1,000 ancient books in these 10 days, which involved all kinds of theoretical knowledge. Alchemy, talismans, formations, weapons, swords, and so on. He had learned a lot of things, so these were of some use to him. Unknowingly, he was immersed in the sea of books, absorbing knowledge like a sponge. Gradually, a strange brilliance appeared on his body. That brilliance was mysterious and extraordinary, as if it contained countless runes. Mr. Forth's pupils shrank slightly when she saw that. Such a divergence path. It's like having a scholarly temperament. Only a knowledgeable cultivator can produce this divergence path, and Brother Chu has it too. Possessing a scholarly temperament was like having a scholarly temperament. A knowledgeable cultivator would have a different temperament. A knowledgeable person would have an obvious temperament. They could even condense a divergence path. That was why Chu Kuangren had a scholarly temperament. Since ancient times, only a few people have had this divergence path. Among Mr. 12, only Mr. First has it. I can't believe Chu Kuangren managed to learn such a divergence path in just 10 days in the sea of books. Is he a natural scholar? Mr. Forth said with a hint of doubt. She then informed the rest of the students. Not long after, Mr. First, Mr. Second, and the others gathered in the sea of books. They could not help but exclaim when they saw Chu Kuangren's body emitting a strange brilliance. It's really like having a scholarly temperament. This person is a natural scholar. The books he reads are all turned into his foundation. It's extraordinary. This person has made the right choice to come to the 100 Academy. Don't disturb him. The students were extremely surprised, but they did not go up to disturb him. As time passed, the more books Chu Kuangren read, the more the qi on his body grew. A month later, the brilliance on Chu Kuangren's body gradually faded, and he slowly opened his eyes. Not bad. There were too many books in the sea of books, and he had not finished reading them. In fact, he might not even have read 1% of them, but he had already benefited a lot. After reading for a month, it was extremely taxing on his mind, so he decided to go back and rest for a few days before coming back again. When he left the sea of books, he noticed that Mr. Forth was looking at him strangely. He could not help but be curious. Mr. Forth, is something the matter? Nothing. Mr. Forth shook her head. She could not see through this young man who was just an immortal seed. He had obviously cultivated the divergence path that every scholar dreamed of, yet he did not seem to care. It was as if nothing had happened. Then I shall take my leave. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly and turned to leave. Looking at his departing figure, Mr. Forth's gaze was somewhat complicated as he said, perhaps it's because of his indifferent nature that he was able to comprehend this strange path of having the scholarly spirit in his heart. Most scholars in this world did not really like to study. Most of them studied for fame and fortune. Mortals studied hard for 10 years just to become famous in one day. Cultivators studied for 100 years and spent 1,000 years to understand, all for the sake of researching more powerful cultivation techniques. Even she had stayed in the sea of books for thousands of years just to improve her cultivation and medical skills. There were very few people who were truly indifferent to material gain and study. So it's natural to have a scholarly temperament. I didn't expect to gain such a harvest from this trip to the sea of books. What a pleasant surprise. After Chu Kuangren returned to his residence, he could not help but smile in satisfaction when he noticed the divergence path that he had learned. This divergence path could help him study better. According to his guess, the reason he learned this divergence path was because his comprehension was too strong. He had absorbed too much knowledge in a short period of time, which led to the evolution of this divergence path. I have to go back to the sea of books. I wonder what level this divergence path will evolve to after I thoroughly understand all the books in the sea of books? Chu Kuangren thought curiously. Chapter 987. Congratulations, host, for obtaining the Godly Tier Prize, Soul Refining Liquid. Chu Kuangren drew his prize early in the morning. His eyes lit up when he saw the prize. The Soul Refining Liquid was an immortal-grade treasure. It was a rare treasure that could be used to enhance one's soul energy. Even immortals would flock to this treasure like a flock of ducks. If I can refine this Soul Refining Liquid, my 9 transformations 3 elemental soul refinement technique can be upgraded to the 6th or even the 7th transformation. When that happens, My soul energy will increase tremendously. My power of understanding, mind power, and senses will also increase. This treasure is even more valuable than the Dharma lotus. Chu Kuangren was overjoyed. He took out the soul-refining liquid and swallowed it. Activating the universal cauldron physique, he quickly refined it. His 3 souls, heaven, earth, and human, also began to absorb it. The 9 transformations 3 elemental soul refinement technique was activated. While Chu Kuangren was refining the soul-refining liquid, Jingguan had already begun to teach the Academy's disciples. Jingguan's guidance was something that countless immortal seeds wished for. In an instant, Jingguan's residence was bustling with people. He even set up a restriction for that. Only those who broke through the restriction were worthy of his guidance. On the other side, Xue Qinxin's assessment was approaching, but she was troubled. Why is this 7 celestial roaming dragon sword art so difficult to cultivate? Xue Qinxin frowned as she held her sword. Next to her was another woman. This woman had a gentle and virtuous air about her, but when she looked at the rabbit in front of her, she felt helpless. The rabbit's eyes were gray, but it was blind. Sigh, the 4 Sirs assessment is a little difficult. How can it be easy to cure this dark poison? Xue Qinxin and the woman were both worried about the assessment. Oh right, Qinxin, didn't Jingguan come to our academy? Why don't you ask him for guidance on your sword techniques? The gentle woman said. I did, but Jingguan said that it's impossible for me to cultivate the 7 celestial roaming dragon sword art to the 3rd stage before the assessment. I can only blame myself for slacking off. Xue Qinxin shook her head. It's the same for me. Back then, when I returned home, I forgot to bring the darkness poison back to study it. Now that I've come back to study it, I've discovered that it won't be that easy to cure this poison, the gentle-looking woman said. The 2 of them looked at each other and sighed. She looked like she was in a difficult situation. The 2 of us won't be last this time, right? No way. Xue Qinxin twitched her lips. Suddenly, she thought of something and said, let's go find Brother Chu. Fellow Cultivator Chu? Are you talking about Chu Kuangren? Yes, fellow Taoist Chu definitely has a way to help us. The gentlewoman's eyes also lit up. I heard that this person cured the sword crown. Perhaps he has a way to help me detoxify this dark poison. She picked up the rabbit and ran towards Chu Kuangren's direction with Xue Qinxin. When they arrived at Chu Kuangren's residence, they saw the little fox sitting under a tree eating a spiritual fruit while Lan Yu was cultivating her winged human combat technique. As for Chu Kuangren, he was nowhere to be seen. Lan Yu, where's Brother Chu? Xue Qinxin was quite familiar with Lan Yu, so she asked directly. The young master is in seclusion. Seclusion again? Xue Qinxin was a little disappointed. After that, the 2 women did not leave but stayed at Chu Kuangren's residence for a few days to prepare for the upcoming assessment. Not long after, 2 more guests arrived at Chu Kuangren's residence. It was the celestial seed rulers, Gu Lufang and Gu Wuqing. When the gentle woman beside Xue Qinxin saw them, she suddenly became excited. Qinxin, it's senior brother Gu. So what if he's here? What's there to be excited about? Xue Qinxin pouted. That's senior brother Gu we're talking about. He's ranked number 1 in the academy and one of the rulers of the younger generation. The gentle woman said. In the 100 Academy, Gu Lufang was definitely a legendary existence. Many young students saw him as their idol. A celestial seed ruler. He's indeed powerful. Xue Qinxin nodded. If it was in the past, she might have been amazed. However, after meeting Chu Kuangren, she felt that the so-called celestial seed ruler was nothing special. Even a celestial seed ruler was far inferior to Chu Kuangren. They were not on the same level at all. Besides senior brother Gu, the man beside him is called Gu Wuqing. He's an outsider, but I heard that he's also a celestial seed ruler. The gentle woman was still introducing them to Xue Qinxin. Gu Wuqing and Gu Lufang had also come to visit Chu Kuangren. When they found out that Chu Kuangren was in closed-door meditation, they could not help but feel a little disappointed. Master, you're still in closed-door meditation? At that moment, a sword ray flew towards them. It was Jingguan. Lan Yu nodded slightly. Greetings, Senior Jingguan. Gu Wuqing and the others quickly bowed. You're welcome. Seeing that Jingguan had arrived, Gu Wuqing and Gu Lufeng, who were planning to leave, decided to stay and ask for his guidance. Jingguan did not hold back either. After a round of guidance, the two of them learned a lot. Thank you, Jingguan, for your guidance. The two of them sincerely expressed their gratitude. But at that moment, there was a ripple in the void. A vast and boundless fluctuation of mind power spread out. After sensing this fluctuation, the expressions of Jingguan and the others changed drastically. This mind power is immortal consciousness. Immortal consciousness was the mind power that only immortals possessed. It was not uncommon for immortal consciousness to appear in the 100 Academy. After all, as an immortal ancient orthodoxy, how could they not have a few immortals? However, the problem was, it was a new wave of immortal consciousness. It was something that had never appeared in the 100 Academy before. This meant that there was a new immortal in the 100 Academy. Moreover, this wave of immortal consciousness is coming from Master's room? Jingguan could not hide the shock in his eyes. This wave of immortal consciousness is coming from Master. He had seen Chu Kuangren's mind power before, and it was exactly the same as this immortal consciousness. However, this immortal consciousness was much stronger. Master has mastered immortal consciousness. How is that possible? After all, Chu Kuangren had not even gone through the 3 disasters and 9 tribulations. How could he suddenly master immortal consciousness? Jingguan felt that ever since he started following Chu Kuangren, his worldview was constantly being refreshed. Chu Kuangren's cultivation did not follow common sense at all. There was no telling what he would do in the next moment. The huge wave of immortal consciousness spread out, and some of the weaker cultivators could not withstand it and fell to the ground. Even Gu Wuqing and Gu Lufeng, who were fairy seed rulers, could not withstand the immortal consciousness and almost fell to the ground. This immortal consciousness is not something an ordinary immortal can unleash. At least it's not much weaker than mine. Jingguan murmured. His sword intent circulated and helped Lan Yu, the little fox, and the others to withstand the vast immortal consciousness. In the academy, the masters also felt the power of the immortal consciousness and immediately flew towards Chu Kuangren's residence. The masters joined forces and set up layers of restrictions to seal the huge immortal consciousness so that it would not leak out. The 100 Academy's students felt much better after that, but the powerful immortal consciousness still gave them a lingering fear. For a moment, everyone was guessing which top-notch half-immortal in the Academy had ascended to immortality. You're tuning in to the Wandering Hero YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.